What's going on, everybody? It's Saturday night, so we have a special show tonight. We're going to be talking about Bryan SilverBax and his project Kerra Prime. Sorry, I had to close out of a tab. I'm lagging up here. So we also have some guest artists in the house tonight. We have Rodney Fyke. We have Adam Fields. Sorry, I was looking to see if Stef joined in, but Brian just putting some art up on the screen. And without further ado, I'm going to introduce these guys and go ahead and bring them on out.
What's up, man?
What's going on, Brian?
Not a whole lot. I'm ready to talk. Because when I talk about this Kerra Prime stuff, I don't actually like get live feedback. Like, dude, that sucks. Oh, that's cool. Oh man, you probably should steer away from that. Like, I don't get that interaction since I don't leave the house.
Oh, I understand that totally. You know, that's like I sent out like 15 digital copies of my book and I haven't heard anything back but crickets. I'm like, has anybody read it? Was it that terrible?
Really?
So, yeah, I don't know.
If you send it to me, dude, honestly, I've been busy. Yeah. So, did you send it to me?
No, I didn't, but I'll send you a copy of it.
Okay. Well, no. I just wanted to caveat my excuse if you did. I wanted to be like, dude, I've just been so busy trying to get stuff done that, and I don't know if anyone knows this, but I have trouble reading. So reading for me is almost painful. I don't know what it is. I don't know how this works, but so when people send me something just to read, I'll look at the pictures and I'll skim, but reading hurts.
No, I can understand that.
Well, there's Adam.
Hey, guys.
Look at Adam texting away.
We also have Adam Fields. Let's bring him
Wow.
out.
Is it just me?
You're getting that too, right?
Russell is like Robot Man.
Yeah.
We have
having 8 flashbacks now.
Going on, Adam?
We're still here, right? I'm good.
I'm here.
We're here.
Russell, I know that you're hosting this stream, but man, your picture hasn't moved. You're just sitting there like this.
He's one heck of a ventriloquist.
What are you doing tonight?
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
You ever seen Zootopia?
Yeah.
And the
We are
sloth
experiencing
talking?
technical difficulties. Yeah, exactly. The sloth.
I only put Zootopia on so I can keep my grandkids happy.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't keep it on enough to like watch it. You know what I mean?
It's actually a good movie.
No, I like I said, I'm not putting.
Well, I
it
figured
down.
I'd give Rodney a second because it looks like he's back there.
He is totally frozen up.
Somebody said they're going to give you a second, Rodney.
I'm good.
I'm teasing you.
No, I had a couple of bite-sized Snicker bars I was munching on real quick.
Oh yeah, I probably should. My eating window is closed, so I'm done for the day. So what's up, everybody? I honestly, Adam and Rodney, I wanted to thank you guys.
Yeah, my wife's probably downstairs watching.
Uh-oh. He probably closed out.
All right, what?
Back in.
But Adam and Rodney, I want to thank you guys for contributing to the book. I honestly thought that I was going to be able to because I made this 100% by myself in 2015 or 16 or 17. I don't know. It says 18, so I got it wrong. But I started making it in 2017. When I started doing that, I was just doing it all myself. And then once I was finished with the Star Bastard Loggerhead team up stuff, I was like, I need to do something to make this new. And there was just no way that I could do it I wanted to do it on my own, but I was like, fuck, I just don't have enough. There's not enough of me to do it on my own. So that's when I started reaching out and asking everybody to try, if you'd like to check out what I'm working on, and do you want to help, and maybe it'll turn into something. That was the idea behind asking everybody for help. So now, as it turns out, there's like 24 different entries in this book so far. And on each page, it features at least 2 different artists' versions of the characters as we go through the book.
Right.
So that when people look at the book, they're not pigeonholding. They're not beholden to one character design. So for readers, I don't think anybody's watching. Wouldn't it tell you?
I'm seeing comments.
Oh, am I somewhere else? I always do this shit weird.
Danny D's here. Sean Stephanie's here.
Oh, well, damn it.
Ed
All right.
Artworks is here.
So here's the idea. So Todd McFarlane draws the Incredible Hulk this way. Dale Keown draws the Hulk this way. Jack Kirby draws the Hulk this way. But it's all the Hulk, right?
Right.
So different artists can stylize that differently. And when people buy this handbook that I've worked on, it's going to show them different iterations of the same character. So if, hey, I want to draw Loggerhead, but I can't draw it exactly like Bryan does, but look at this version here, he's different. And in this version here, he's also different. So why not? I wanted to let people know that if you wanted to be a fan of Kerra Prime, you're not just one. It's not like a specific look that has to be abided by for you to draw the character. You know what I mean? So that's why when you did Loggerhead, you give him like a chunky ass, like on your cover, Adam. He's got a chunky ass, like about that thick, little shell rim. Yeah, look how chunky monkey that rim is, and that's not the way that I draw the character, but that's your version, and I want people to understand that that's fine. Your version is different. The first contributor to the book was Jason Hare, and his version of Loggerhead was very almost like Batman the Animated Series is what his Loggerhead looked like. And I was like, dude, that's amazing, because when people do stuff that is completely separate from the way my brain works, I immediately like, dude, that is badass, because I like it when stuff that I couldn't do, but it's done right. You know what I mean?
Hey, real quick, Russell says, hey, everyone, I'll be back in a few minutes. Tiffany tried to watch some Netflix and overloaded the network. He's circling around, and he'll be back in a minute. Heather Ellen is in, and she says, hi, everybody. Hello.
Hey, hi.
Ed's Artworks is in the house. Stephanie's here. Danny D's here. Patrick Lord Demand is here. So we've got a few people with us.
Well,
nice.
Thank you all for being
share it.
here. See, this was when I created Year Zero, this was the guy that I was going to build everything around. Like that guy was I wanted my own Wolverine. Like, so I was like, this guy's going to have regeneration. He's going to have all this stuff. He's going to be the coolest guy ever. And so I made this guy Baku, and I was like, well, I can't, what if people don't like Baku? I was like, well, shit. Then when they come to my table, they're going to be like, well, I don't like that guy. What else you got? And I'm like, I don't know. So I created everybody else that was in my Year Zero handbook. I was like, well, let's just say he found some friends. And one of those people was Loggerhead. So this is just a book. Really, the idea behind this, what's up, Phil Lockler? The idea behind this was to have a supporting cast of
Sean Forney's in his house.
That's Mr. Moneybags.
Mr. Moneybags.
Mr. Moneybags. Everything that you see posted online will have that little Sean Forney signature in the blue highlight. Like that dude stays busy.
He was born working.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Just killing it. What are you working on right now, Sean?
Working on our next Kickstarter book. So I'm working on a werewolf here.
What's the name of your werewolf? Is it Werewolf?
Nice.
The book's Scarlet Huntress, and we're putting together the field guide book. It's her journal of all the creatures and nastiness she comes across.
Hey, I put that in Dropbox just a couple minutes ago, by the way.
Hey, conduct
Stef
that.
will love you.
I was sitting here and working on stuff, and I was like, oh, I told you 4 hours ago I put that in Dropbox.
Adam does werewolf stuff too.
Yes,
Well,
Did you guys know that?
yes. Prime.
So this is Adam's cover that I colored.
That is boss.
Hey.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
So what I was gonna do, Adam, just like as a personal thing, like I was going to try to pull Loggerhead's head like a little bit more up, so that her arm would almost just be like coming down right over his eye.
Over his eye.
Yeah, but it required a lot of work, and I was like, I don't know if Adam's gonna like that, so I didn't do that. But I did kind of like shave his head a little bit.
Oh, I see that.
But that's just me. I'm sorry. I hope you're not mad at me.
Not at all.
But I really like,
I'm a pretty
and I like
relaxed
the
guy
fact
when
that
it
you
comes to
left
this
it
stuff.
open for me to do the blood smears,
Yep.
and I did these lens flares.
Totally trusted you.
Lens flares over here.
See, I would never done lens flares. I think that was such a cool touch. I love it.
Yeah, well, I don't know what Kerra Prime looks like, so I'm like making it up. So I was like, it's like the sun's coming up. There's some purple in the sky because the world of Kerra Prime, right, has a whole bunch of wormholes. It's the atmosphere is very Thor Ragnarok. So there's portals and there's devil's anuses all over the place inside the world of Kerra Prime, and they just close up and they're like pow pow and they open up, and so that's how I can get to any kind of storytelling that I want to do. Oh,
I
whoops.
love it.
So this was the original handbook. So
Whoops.
in 2000,
I have
did we go away?
All right, let me put it back.
Boom.
Well, we don't have to. I can bullshit with you guys. You guys have time. You guys, Sean's got shit to do. The rest of us are just like, dude, it's Saturday night. We're old dudes. We're drinking beers and we're watching UFC.
I did watch The Boys. Watched episode 5.
I did, dude. It came on. It was available Thursday night at like 9 o'clock. I was like, holy shit, babe. Finish smoking your cigarette. We got to come inside and watch The Boys. So she came inside. I said, are you ready to watch The Boys? And then, bam, what do you have? You have hardcore Superman sex.
Oh, yeah.
And I was
Spoilers.
like, damn.
Easy there, killer. I haven't seen it yet.
Well, you don't need to see anything. But it's really fun. I enjoy The Boys. The Boys is so awesome. I was never privy to The Boys before the television show. Like I'd never read the comics or anything, so I wasn't already like on the wagon. So the show to me is just really fun.
Oh, yeah. I was in that same boat. I'd seen a couple of the covers in the comic shop, but I hadn't known anything about it until we started watching the first season.
Yeah.
We came to it late.
How many of our independent properties do you think that happens to? Like, how many of us right here between the 5 of us have these excellent ideas that no one knows about until one day one of us will score the golden ticket and Gene Wilder will come running out here with your Netflix deal. Here's your fizzy bubbly drink. And then boom. And then the world will be like, how come I didn't know about Kerra Prime? How come I didn't know about Scarlet Huntress? I believe that's what you said the name.
Yep.
And then Adam, fucking Werewolf Moon.
Werewolf Moon.
Close.
What is it?
Really close. He's like this far off.
So close.
What is
Prowl.
it? Oh, yeah, I knew that.
See,
And
I'm
Rodney-
cheating because they're all lined up and you can't see the titles.
Rodney has the Magnificent 18 or whatever.
Magnificent. Well, you're 3 decades and 2 books off. You're talking about Superior 7, but now it would be Roadkill Rampage.
Yes, Roadkill Rampage. But like,
But Rodney's like a publishing mogul now. He's got like 5 different titles under his belt.
Yeah, more than that.
well, that's how you have to do it, man. You have to do that. But how? But think about it. Every one of us, and Russell, I'm sorry. Let's not forget yours. Go ahead and tell us what yours is, Russell. Is Russell frozen?
I think Russell's still
Well,
experiencing technical.
I was trying to fix the settings.
He said his name is Dick Confetti.
That's what it sounded like to me. That's a different channel.
All right.
It's
So,
not 10 p.m. yet.
so Russell has Dick Confetti, but all of us.
That's the one that's going to sell.
No,
You
it
gotta
will
go to a
not.
special
If it
shop
was
for that
Tick
one.
Confetti, Tick Confetti would sell.
That's going to sell big time on Xtube.
But
It's called Titty
So-
Sprinkles.
all of us have the potential to be the next The Boys. You know what I mean? Like, so we're just. It's just.
Can
a
you guys
matter
hear me
of-
better now?
I
Yes.
can.
Yeah, we can hear you.
And now you look like a pulsating fireball when you talk.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with
He almost had it.
Nah. Yeah, no, I don't know what's going on with the camera tonight. It's lagging out on me. I'm having some serious issues going on, so maybe I'll just have to drop my camera out.
You need to put it in the corner.
Well, I'm sorry, man. I'll just pretend that you're smiling. But so all of
Yeah,
us have
I
our
am
own-
smiling. So what was your question? Sorry, I missed what you guys were talking
So
about.
Russell, tell us what your property is that is your comic book that could be the next big thing.
Well, right now my big project is Xenonanite Titan. So, that's what I'm working on now. I'll be kickstarting it probably hopefully the end of next month, beginning of November.
Well, that rolls right off the tongue. Xenonanite Titan. Is that what I'm saying? Xenonanite Titan?
Yeah, Xenonanite Titan.
All right. But yeah, so all of us have our The Boys, and every one of us has our own limited audience. Like our The Boys, and every one of us has our own limited audience. Like somebody's listening to me talking.
You have an echo.
I'm in the Matrix. So it's just a matter of time before Adam's Prowl gets his deal with Hulu and Rodney's thing lands on Tubi TV and then your thing lands on Netflix or whatever. And then once the world is exposed, man, all we have to do. I'm just excited that we can all have our own The Boys. I didn't know about The Boys, but now that I watched the television show, I'm like, where have you been? Like, why did I not know about you sooner?
Yeah.
Well, I think that we're all laughing and everything, but your enthusiasm, we all share that enthusiasm. And it's the love for comics and the love for storytelling. And that's why we all do what we do, because we all have our own worlds in our heads and our own universes full of our own characters. So we're all striving for the same goal. So when you're talking about it and you're getting excited about it and ramble on about it, everybody here, and even the people in the audience, completely connect, because that's what we're all doing. And we all understand that excitement and that enthusiasm.
Yep. Yeah, we're all trying to play that lottery. Whether it's, like you said, trying to go for the Netflix or Hulu deal or whatever, or just getting the book in the next person's hand.
So I'm assuming that we're not in it exactly for them. There's Stef.
How's it going?
Oh wow, you got a professional aviator headset.
That's because my microphone doesn't always work the way it's supposed to.
For the longest time, I didn't even know your gender. I thought Stef Wilson was a female.
Everybody at Baltimore Comic-Con thought that too when I first made my appearance. So.
But because everything I had seen up to that point was just the art.
Right.
When I first reached out to you, probably 2 years ago,
right,
to do the cover for Kerra Prime,
right,
like it was just Bad Kitty, I think.
Right. Bad Carrie Studios.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's my wife. And my profile picture, when I finally put an actual profile picture up, is me and my wife. And people still think sometimes that it's her. So.
Now, is Steph short for Stefano?
It's short for something. The thing is, I wasn't always in comics. I spent 25 years of my life as a professional in HR. So
right.
I was in corporate HR, and I was drawing on the side and selling these sketches on eBay. So I had to come up with a name that wouldn't get me in trouble, obviously because of my art style.
Yeah.
With my HR career. So because here right. I was an engagement consultant for corporations. So the last thing I needed was my actual name to be tagged to boob pictures. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So everybody just kind of assumed, and 50% of the time they assume I'm a girl. It's funny though, because they assume I'm a girl on Instagram because I have a Vampirella picture up there as my profile picture. I'm like, do you really think I look like a cartoon version of Vampirella? Is that why you're sending me dick pics?
Oh wow, do you get dick pics?
Oh God, all the time.
Holy shit!
You should do a compilation book of dick pics.
There you go.
I mean, I've got 11,000 followers on Instagram. I'm sure about 4,000 of them would disappear if they figured out I was a guy.
Oh, well, as long as they keep buying the books, though, right?
That's all that matters.
There you go.
Now, Steph, I've seen you put out many, many, many covers
right.
for many various awesome, cool projects.
Right.
What is your project, sir?
I actually am going to be launching a Kickstarter with Wendy with a bunch of art that I did for her through several projects. So that's coming in November. I can't really, dig into that too much.
All right.
And then I know everybody's pressuring me for an art book, but let's face it. I mean, okay, when did you reach out to me about the cover for Kerra Prime?
Yeah, well, Kerra Prime, back when I reached out to you, was still year zero.
Exactly.
So it's probably about a year, probably about 18 months ago.
I still have the art in the folder that says year zero. So 18 months ago, I wasn't doing anything. Bryan reached out to me, and he got the only, if you draw the lines, I'll color it for you, free deal that anybody's gotten from it. Because after that, things went nuts. He was like, "Oh, I'll color your work for you. We'll do a cover." And I was like, I was so amazed because nobody had reached out for me before that. So I've only been doing it since then. So,
well, that's awesome. I in my personal little world, I'm going to pretend like I had something to do with that. But we both know that is not true.
Oh no! You put the thought in my head that I could be doing comic covers. Before that, I was just doing fan art. So it never occurred to me that somebody would want to use my art for a comic cover. And when you reached out to me, I'm like, oh, yeah. And I had to go out and buy Bristol paper to do, because I was drawing on brown paper for the longest time. So I was just like, okay, sure, I'll do it. Like, my whole thing is say yes and figure out how. So when you said that, I was like trying to play cool. Like, yeah, I could do that. I had no idea what I was doing.
I love that. And you've turned it into such like in the 18 months, you had a mild presence on social media, but now you have ballooned up to anybody that likes nipples and boobies. Like, they fucking know who you are.
Yep. You know, and part of that is the social media. The thing is, and I feel so bad for people who have like a day job, because there's no way I would have been able to do this when I was working.
Yeah.
Because my average screen time per day can be like 7.5 hours. So where somebody else would have to be working and then doing their art on the side, I'm kind of doing my art, and the social media is another job.
Oh, yeah.
It's a second job.
Exactly. Yeah.
It is a second job. If you're going to grow yourself, it's a second job. And I feel so bad for people who can't put in the time, because unfortunately both Instagram, Facebook, those platforms reward engagement. And so if you can't be on there all day long, constantly, you don't get the rewards.
Well, honestly, Steph, I am super thankful that you have allowed me to use the image and that you created for.
I was so happy that you were bringing this thing out. I was like, my God, that's the first thing I ever did. How cool is that?
Can you guys see and hear me now?
We can.
Yes.
All right, sorry. I had to go get my phone and my tripod and hop on another device, so I apologize for all the issues today.
That's we've been chopping it up, just waiting for you to get here.
We didn't even know you were here. And wait, I got to say one thing. I don't want to like, you know, you guys were going full steam, and I loved what you guys were talking about. But I want to thank Sean, because almost, you know, sometime after you and I worked together, Bryan, I was walking into AC Moore with my wife, and I'm like, oh my God, Sean Forney colored my cover, because it was Buku Comics he got my first published cover, and he got art from me for it, and I had no idea who was going to be coloring it or anything like that. And I'm like, oh my God, Sean Forney colored my cover. Look, and I'm looking at the pictures, and I just couldn't believe it. It was the first time I saw my work on a cover, and it was done, and it had been colored by Sean. It was a hardly thin variant for Counterpoint.
I remember.
Like,
I remember
God,
that.
Sean Forney colored my cover. Oh my God! I was like losing my mind. She thought I was so funny. All through AC Moore, I'm walking around because we were supposed to be buying pencils or something. I was just like la la land. I'm like, oh my God, look at me! I'm on a cover, and look who colored it.
So I remember when you sent the pencils that you did for the cover for me.
Right.
And I had mentioned to you, I was like, man, I asked you about line weights.
Right.
And I was like, I almost felt bad about bringing it up. But
No.
But
you know, here's the thing. And that's what's so funny, because perspective-wise, just 2 weeks ago, Russell knows, I think it was on Unscripted, they were talking about how it was my 68th cover. Wow. And they were like, Jim Noble's got to have your 69th cover, because, you know, the way he is, that kind of publisher. And here's the thing. I've done 69 covers. Well, actually 70-some now. Ticonderoga 2.5. That's my line weight. I don't get line weights. I didn't approach comic art the way I guess I'm supposed to have done, because I kind of got dragged into it. So I'm still doing what I was doing then. And what you're talking about is that's my line weight. It's Ticonderoga 2.5 pencil. I don't know what thickness that is. I don't know what that equates to. You know, I don't know if it's a mechanical pencil size, but it's the tool I've always used, and so I'm the most comfortable with it.
That looks good. Like, I almost, like, from the scan that you sent me when you sent it many moons ago,
right.
It almost felt like you drew it on a piece of notebook paper.
Right.
Like, I had no idea that it was that scale. So I don't know, maybe something got lost from the scanner or something like that.
Right. And actually, it was probably the quality of the scanner that I was using, because I wasn't having to scan my art at that time to anybody. You know, now I've got the one where I take my phone and I'm sitting on the couch in the living room and somebody needs line art, and I just go to my phone and I scan it from my phone. Like, if it's in this, I can just send it anywhere, do whatever I want.
I just bought this. This is a Galaxy S20 some shit or something. And then when I hold up a document, it will say, do you want me to scan it?
Yeah.
Just through the camera.
I know. Yeah, but when I sent that over to you, I was probably going to Staples to have it scanned in or something like that. But But anyway, so I'm still using 2.5s. I was so glad on Nai's show the other night. She had Ticonderoga 2s in her hand. There's just something about the pencil. It's a perfect pencil. It really is. The 2.5 is just a perfect pencil. So I'll probably never, ever use the right tools my entire career. So
Right on. But I wanted to thank you, man, because you were the first person, you were the first person to ever have done a Year Zero Kerra Prime anything that wasn't me.
Right, because you were still conceiving of it at the time.
Yeah. I was writing a graphic novel in my head, and I even hooked up with Adam to do like the first roughs for the first 5 pages of a story. Oh shit!
Wow, look at that. What is that? What is he holding up? Why does that look like it's graded?
Yeah. I got this one. It ain't no graded.
The coolest thing is, wait, I gotta say this. The coolest thing about this Year Zero is that you were gonna put it on a comic book when you were talking to me.
Yeah.
That was your initial plan. And so when this came out, the thing is, and Russell makes fun of me and everybody makes fun of me because I don't know comics. I didn't grow up with comics. I didn't read comics as a kid. So like when people talk about this guy did Batman and this guy worked on that, I'm like, I have no idea they're talking about. I loved comic art. So I can tell you anything about Michael Turner. I can tell you anything about the artists, like the big name artists. Look at that. Very nice.
Sorry,
No, it's okay.
my computer's being crazy, so I was trying to show it off, but it wouldn't
Got
switch
some
over.
gremlins,
Gotcha.
man.
But anyway, so I don't
Gremlins.
know about comics the way a lot of people in comics do. And so when this came out on the Kerra Prime handbook, which is the primer, that got me because for me, I love Dungeons and Dragons. I was a Dungeons and Dragons nerd, not a comics nerd.
Yeah.
Like I loved Dungeons and Dragons. I loved fantasy art, science fiction art, and I loved comic art because it was beautiful. And so this reminds me of, like, I don't know if you guys know Gamma World. Do you remember that game? It was like a Dungeons and Dragons game type role-playing game, but it was set in like an apocalyptic future or something.
No,
So-
I played Marvel superheroes.
Gotcha. See, but my thing is, I love the idea that this cover is on this particular book because that's the kind of book I would have liked, where it tells you stories about the world or the characters.
Yeah.
Like that's the kind of stuff I used to love. Like if I was going to do a role-playing game, I'd be like, oh, I want to play that character. Or I want to play in that world.
Like-
and so that I was like,
the
oh,
old
this is so
Monster
cool. This is
Manual.
as close as I'm going to get to Dungeons and Dragons. So,
Well, dude, I'm happy. I am so grateful to have been able to work with you, and I'm just that is amazing, dude. I really appreciate it.
no.
We have
Thank
not
you.
properly welcomed Armando to the group.
Hey guys, sorry I'm late.
Hi, Armando.
No, it's
So
totally my
Armando is in
fault.
Texas, and Armando is much like us, a very independent, hungry individual, creating things, waiting for The Boys to get picked up from Netflix or Hulu or Amazon. You guys, him and his Armando, you and your brother are working on a project, correct?
No, me and my 2 buddies here in town.
Oh, 2 buddies.
Yeah.
I thought it was-
No, it's all good, man. Everybody, we've done a couple of podcasts and stuff together, and everybody always thinks we're related. I don't know why. I think we just kind of grew up with the same stuff, so everybody always thinks we're.
But I think I found Armando through Instagram, and much like all of us, we travel in the same circles. You know, the same people are following all this other stuff. But Armando has a very, I like the color black style to his artwork, and it is in your face. And so when I had the opportunity just the other day, probably like what, two weeks ago, something like that, I reached out to Armando and I asked him to produce a cover for the Kerra Prime handbook. And I haven't seen anything.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so I'm working on it. I got some other stuff for Russ that I'm working on, and but I'm about to start layouts tomorrow for it. So I got some ideas in my head and everything. But
I'm so
pretty excited.
anxious, like because I've really, I'm a big Lobo fan, and I wanted Armando to do a Lobo for me, but I was like, fuck, I need to pay this guy to color this. I need to pay this guy to do this, and I just don't have, like, if I'm not paying money to get stuff done for my book, I can't really justify spending it unless I'm playing WWE Battlegrounds, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But so Armando is going to be doing a cover that will be I'm almost to the point where the Kickstarter has hit a, hey, you made it. Who the fuck cares? Like, so the money has stopped coming in. Like today, I don't think anybody pledged anything today.
But dude, it's the low. It's the low.
Yeah.
Every
Yeah, but
Kickstarter has a
3
low
days
in the
in?
middle of it. And if you're not dropping, look at Tom Hutchinson. Every time he does a Kickstarter, the minute he hits that low, he's got these add-on covers in his back pocket. And so he starts slapping down some Jesse Witchman covers or something to spike sales again. Wendy, like when she does a Kickstarter, this is when she drops a contest. This is when she drops a promo, something to get people in. You gotta have that low beater.
Well, Russell has taken it and got us all together to simply try to pimp the Kerra Prime Kickstarter that's now, because at some level, all of us are involved with it. And I'm very, very appreciative of that.
This is the thing with Kickstarters is, and again, I started this, beginning of last year, getting into comics. But the thing is, I'm always fascinated by processes. It's part of my career for 25 years. So the first time I was in a Kickstarter, I was fascinated by it and how it worked and watching the ebb and flow. And what amazes me on the one hand is that there's so much data in a Kickstarter and nobody uses it and nobody knows how to get it. And it's like, you should be able to look at your previous Kickstarter and know what you did on day 1, day 2, day 3, when you dropped a cover, when you dropped an add-on, what your stretch goals did. But nobody collects that information because you guys who do these Kickstarters are creators. What you need is a Kickstarter manager. And, there's actual titles for that. There's actual job positions for Kickstarter manager. And the amazing thing was, I'm fascinated by those details. And last year, I won't mention the creator because we talked a lot, and I talked with them a lot about it. We actually planned out everybody who had a Kickstarter and everybody who was talking about dropping a Kickstarter, and we timed the drop of that Kickstarter right into everybody's low. We waited until X had dropped and X had dropped and X had dropped, and there it was, a 2-week window to drop in a dull zone before so-and-so launched and so-and-so launched and so-and-so launched. It was perfect. It was golden. And it was all about planning. And a lot of what you're probably running into now is that everybody's seen the project. Everybody liked the project, backed the project. So it's now that lull in the middle, and you got to have something to pull people in.
Well, let's not. I have no idea what the hell I'm doing.
I know.
Let's start with that.
I know. Nobody does in Kickstarter.
Only my 3rd Kickstarter ever. My first Kickstarter, comic book related, and I had seen other people build their Kickstarter page, and then have it be like earmarked so that you can send people to the earmark. Like,
right.
Check out this thing, it's working. And I was building that up. Right. And then I hit a button.
You hit the launch button.
I launched your Kickstarter. I was like, holy shit. Because I looked up online. Tuesday, for some reason, is the best day to launch a Kickstarter, according to the powers of the internet. So I was like, what did I do? Sunday night.
Oh, God, the worst night.
Sunday and Monday are the 2 worst days of the week to launch a Kickstarter.
When you messaged me and you were like, hey, you want to do a cover? And we worked it all. I said, yeah, sure, okay. Got some time to finish up some stuff, and then I'll kind of roll into it. And then the next thing I see is like, hey, I launched this early. And I'm like, oh, yeah. We move all these commissions aside. like trying to get down this.
Oh.
And here's another thing. The problem is weekends are slow on social media for anything comic related.
And as
your feed gets quiet and everything else on the weekends. So it's the worst time. My favorite thing to see is you'll see these people who have Kickstarters and they're promoting on Saturday and Sunday. Like, don't even bother. 50% of the people that are going to look at your post, 50% of those people are
avoid work with social media.
Right.
So get them when they're on their lunch break or when they're on their smoke break,
right,
or they're taking a dump at work for the 8th time of the day.
Right.
And then you're like, that's when you.
Yeah. But I see people so don't worry about it. I see people waste so much effort and energy on the weekends for their Kickstarters, and I'm like, nobody's looking. Why are you bothering?
No, but I think for me, like in my head, the algorithm, this magical beast, the algorithm, like if I'm not posting every day, it doesn't count.
No. That's not how it works. You got to
I
understand.
don't know how it works.
Okay, you got to understand. Facebook and Instagram are advertising platforms.
Yeah.
So that's why they exist, to sell advertising. And the way they do that is they take engaged content and they spread it around. In other words, if you have an active feed and you're socially active on social media, you're a good person to drop an ad into because you're interacting with people and more people are going to see it. If you're the kind of person who posts twice a day about your project and then goes back to doing art, which is great for your art, Facebook doesn't want to drop an ad into your feed because nobody's looking at your feed enough.
Yeah.
So you got to understand if you're on social media and engaged in social media, the algorithms will reward you by expanding your content out and then dropping ads into your content to spread those ads out. That's how it works.
All right, so Mr. Nipple, tell me what I should be doing.
It's circle template. Russell, will you correct the guy?
Well, I mean, that's part of why, I do what I do. You guys see me day in, day out. You see me sharing out everybody's projects. Rodney with Roadkill Rampage, and Armando with his live streams, Stef's live streams, Bryan. I share out your live streams, and that's why I put together this panel. I seen that. Hey, there's a creator.
Did you forget Adam? Don't forget Adam.
Well, and I'm going to get to everybody. Sean and Adam. I've been watching his live streams and stuff too.
I've been taking over your thing, Russell. I'm sorry. I'm going to sit back and I'm going to be a guest. I've been acting like this is my fucking show.
Well, and it's all good. I appreciate that. I had some technical difficulties, but we got it all squared away. So, that's why we do what we do on our end is, I'm like, hey, I see a guy that does awesome things and I want to help him out because he accidentally hit that launch button a little early. So I'm like,
premature
hey,
launch.
Yeah,
Happens
premature
at a
launch.
certain age, Brian.
Yeah.
We've all
So
been there.
I'm like, hey, Brian, you want to do a live show Saturday? And he's like, yeah, sure, anytime. So, I started going down the list of artists, and I'm like, oh, I know Stef, and I know Armando, and I know Sean, and I know Rodney, and I kind of know Adam. We haven't been acquainted very long. I'm like, hey, you guys want to do a show? And, they were all awesome. And, this is what we do. We support each other. We get on, and we're like, hey, we all have a piece to play in this. We, as an artist, you got to help promote and share out the books that you're a part of. And, the fans, all those people out there that you have following you, it's our job to like the post. That's one of the things that we got to kind of push them and say, hey, if you see a post, like it, because, a post that has one like won't show up in everybody's news feed. But if a post has 99 likes, then it's active in everybody's news feed because, hey, this is what's trending right now. And that's kind of how the algorithms are pretty much geared around.
What's funny is if Russell was to launch a Kickstarter, right, which he's going to do, he's going to have a greater reach on social media because of what he just does naturally, which is he posts. He also engages with others' posts, even if it's to make snarky comments on my post or to post GIFs or something. But he engages other people's posts. Then he does his live shows. He shares other people's posts. That's exactly what Facebook wants. Somebody who is an engaged user like Russ. So when Russell launches his Kickstarter, when he posts his Kickstarter, he's going to get more views than a lot of Kickstarter creators get because he's more engaged with the platform. So the platform is going to reward him with more views. And every time he makes one of those little snark, like when I post a post, somebody caught me, like caught onto it. Every time I post a post, the first thing I do is like it.
It
doesn't hurt. Post? It starts the numbers off.
Yeah.
If you post something and you don't like it right away or love it right away, you're not even like setting the post off in the right direction.
Yeah, it starts that ripple effect, and that's what they're looking for. Every time he pushes a button, likes, and hits that enter button, it creates that ripple effect, which creates another ripple effect, and they tell two friends, and so on and so on and so on.
To me, it came across as a little bit. Like.
Do you put a comment on it when you post?
On my own stuff?
Yes.
No. I don't like my own post because it feels like look at me.
No.
I don't want people to look like that.
So you do it the right way. You put the post up, you like it immediately, and then you drop a funny comment in or something about the post. Now your post already has one like and one comment. It's
make fun of yourself. People like that. Some
Yeah,
stuff
well,
is
and see-
humor.
Man, I didn't know we were showing up for
Like
homework.
that, Brian. Yeah, look at me, like that.
There's gonna be a quiz after this, Sean.
Look
I
at
hope
my
you're taking
art.
notes.
I'm awesome. You should.
Oh, well, I
Look,
just
Brian.
I just feel when I see somebody's post that says Jim just posted a picture, only Jim has a thumbs up, and I'm like, well, damn, Jim, can't you just get it through your head that
No.
you're not supposed to like your own stuff?
Brian, listen, I've been on Instagram since December. This is going to be 2 years. No,
I
Yeah.
believe yours is content related somewhat.
I'm going to be on Instagram for 18 months come this December, I think. I have 11,000 followers on
Shut up.
Instagram. There is a method to it.
Yeah.
There is a strategy.
How many dick
You just
pics?
gotta watch the YouTube videos.
There
They
is,
tell you
man. I've
exactly
been on-
how to grow your
I've been
presence.
on Instagram.
See, you
since-
thought we were going to have a Kickstarter backer. This is school is in session. Sit down and
Yeah.
listen.
All right, so let me ask you.
So
everybody-
like your own posts.
I will from now
Hang on,
on.
let me start doing that.
So
Yeah, there you go.
everybody here has been a part of a
All right,
Kickstarter at some
everybody
level.
pick up your phone. Let's start with.
Everybody go follow, like Steph, and then we'll start.
Here's another
commenting.
trick. I'll post art and people will like it and comment on it, right? But if I post a Lord of the Rings meme, because I love those things, if I post a funny Lord of the Rings meme, that gets shared. People don't share your art or they don't share your comic book, but they do share funny stuff. So have something socially funny that has nothing to do with comics, and it'll create shares on your page. Shares on your page will then move your other posts into greater visibility. So nobody's going to share. You put a picture of your cover up there. Nobody's going to share it. Trust me, nobody's going to share it. You put a funny Hobbit meme up there, people are going to share it because they like it. That's how you get shares. You don't get shares off your project. You can beg for them and ask for them, like on shows like this. Hey, share out my project. How many people really do? But when you put something funny up, people share it. So find something socially funny and use that medium to boost your shares across your whole feed. It's way too much.
See, and I still
It's-
don't
it's too
understand why
much.
Steph comments on his own post because, I mean, as soon as he posts anything, I immediately am posting snarky comments. So, I
Huh?
mean, right off the bat, he's got snarky.
Well, now there's
from
two
me.
snarky comments, so there's that.
And
I'll
it's
start
the
starting.
algorithm monster.
I'll give you 3. I'll start snarking.
There you go. Well, it's funny. I did a cover with Richard Boom, and Richard's over in the Netherlands or something, and he's European. So he'll post something about we're almost at 15K, but he's always talking euros, and who the heck in the United States is doing the conversion rate? So I always put a snarky comment in there about it being euros or something like that, and he always answers me seriously. And one day he messaged me he's like explaining euros. I said, Richard, I'm only putting the comment in there to boost your comments. Like, I'm saying something funny to boost your comments. I don't care whether you're at euros or dollars, really. I'm just engaging your content. And he was just like, oh, that's how it works.
So what is the deal? What is the deal when you run a Kickstarter to not post a URL in the text, but to post a URL into the comments? What is that all about?
You can post them in your link. You can put the URL in your post. But if you do that too many times and share it too many times, you get flagged. And that's when you get the 24-hour ban, because they think you're trying to sell something. So a lot of creators won't put it in their main thing, but anybody can comment with URLs all day long, and Facebook will never tag them.
Okay.
Because comments are from other people. So you're not selling something. When Facebook sees the comment appear, even though it's under your name, Facebook doesn't attribute it to the user. It attributes it to the commenter.
Well, and the
All
other
right,
issue is if you include
And you can
it,
put them in your posts, but if you share them too much, like Ron Zavala, he has like 3 accounts now because he was notorious for putting the URLs into the content and then getting banned.
Well, and the other issue is if you put it in the comment and you don't, like, so say you want to post a picture of a cover, so like Adam Field's cover or Armando's cover in the comments, if you don't put that photo in the post first before you add the URL, it automatically generates that the header for
but you
the
can
link.
click the X and make it go
You
away.
can click the X and you can take it out of there, but then all you got is that little bitty link. To whereas if you do it in the comments, you actually not only have the link, but it actually shows the header for what that link's going for in the comments. So
Armando, are you
Facebook-
drinking orange drink?
When Facebook
What's
sees
that?
you post,
Are you drinking orange drink?
if
Yeah,
they
I'm drinking
post the
this,
URL, if Facebook sees
starting
you
the
post
night.
a URL or a website, they assume you're selling something, and Facebook wants to be the one that's selling things. They want the advertisers to be selling things. So when you post links too many times in your posts, they assume you're a seller horning in on their territory. In other words, they want you to pay for
maker
that.
in the house.
All right. Do you
Oh
want
man,
to
you've
guys?
got everybody in the house. Russell, Wendy, Ed.
I was going to pull
Josh.
up some artwork to show off some of the things that you guys had contributed, except Armando.
Boo.
Wow.
Awkward.
Hey, that looks cool.
So when I originally did this, and I haven't touched it since the 18 months that I've colored this, but I got an email from Stef with this file that told me particularly how to color these eyes. So
Yes.
Stef, do you still have the tutorial on how to color the eyes, or have you modified it?
I don't, because the eyes have changed.
I noticed that, and I was like, "That son of a bitch."
Well, if you send the file to Carrie, she can edit those eyes for you, because she's
I'm
learned how to do them.
I'm just kidding, but I'm saying, like, I just remember that being it was the first time I had ever heard that. Like, you can use this line art, but here's how you have to do the eyes. And I had never encountered anything like that before.
Sorry about that. Well, they were different.
Dude, neither one of us knew what the fuck we were doing anyway.
I know.
So, Armando, is this character going to be involved?
Yes, I plan on putting that. That's a really cool beastly character.
This character is getting a lot of steam.
Dude,
Yeah,
this should be a
Arctica.
game. I
It's
can
a-
see it
it's a
already.
and it's a female, right? Like
It is a female.
dude. That blew my mind. You were like,
Dude,
yeah, you
this
can
should
put
be
her
a
in there,
game.
and I was like, what? That's awesome. Like, that's really cool.
Hey, I know that guy.
Yeah, that looks familiar.
So if you look at this little scraggly guy to the left, like that was my original iteration. And then Sean and Rodney made it look way cooler than I had anticipated.
That is
Like-
awesome.
Like
That-
this,
And I love
really
the
dressed it up,
collaboration of
because I
you two
did
on that
much-
piece.
I did like a quick little scribble on a piece of Bristol, sent a scan to Rodney, and I just said, do some finishes, knock it out of the park, and he went above and beyond.
Hang on a second. Here we go. This is what Sean gave me.
Yeah, let's see it. Wait, what?
oh wow, that's big.
Well, I did it 11 by 17 because I wanted to ink it that size. So that's what he gave me, and this is the finished product.
Holy shit.
That is awesome.
So yeah, I had all kinds of fun doing that.
And that's phenomenal work, and it's really cool to see you guys collaborating on stuff. And
Well,
if you guys
we've
don't-
collaborated before on some Scarlet Hunter stuff for Sean. I think we got a pretty good thing going there, Sean.
And if you guys aren't familiar with Rodney and Sean's work, definitely check them out. You've got the Art of Sean Forney on Facebook and the Art of Rodney Fyke on Facebook, and you could also check them out on Thursday, Friday Night Draw on Facebook. Look for the group on there. Thursday and Fridays they have a 30-minute sketch off. It's pretty cool.
Sean,
stuff.
is the next Scarlet Hunters coming out anytime soon?
Yes, I've been working on Steph and I are putting my stuff and I are
Right.
putting together. We're doing a new version of our field guide book. So I've been working on all the cryptid creatures for the last couple of weeks, trying to get everything done. So we're doing. Back in, I think it was 2011, we did the original field guide book, but that was back before we knew about Kickstarter and any of that mess. So we never got to do the book we wanted to, the way we wanted to, because we couldn't
Right.
afford to. So now we're doing that. So we're going to launch Kickstarter, hopefully, fingers crossed, in October, to put together, a 60-some page book that's
Oh,
basically
cool.
it's like an in-story thing where it's actually Scarlett's journal of all the creatures she comes across. And Rodney's done a piece of artwork for it. We've got several of our friends that have done pieces of artwork that we've collected over the years that's going in there. And so yeah, we're getting the whole thing pieced together. Steph and I were literally in the living room this morning, laying out all the artwork on the floor, going, "Okay, this has got to go on this page and that," and all that
cool.
kind of shit. So
it's like a handbook
yes,
kind of thing.
Yes, and it's like I said, it's in story, so it's actually Scarlet, writing inner journal, like what each creature's like and all that. Kind of like
how many pages?
We're shooting for at least 64.
How many pages you got, Brian?
This one's only going to be 32 pages total.
All right, so we know where the value is, obviously. October. Just kidding you, man. Just kidding.
Just right for the throat, man.
I'm out. No, so I just wanted to showcase. I wanted to show some of these entries and kind of just like really show how different they are. Like you're getting 3 pieces of artwork for each character, and in most times it's different artists that have contributed the artwork that's being showcased. Whereas in my original handbook, it was just me doing both shitty pieces of female art here and writing it. And then like the way this is the original old pages, and then like the new pages are so much more.
I am so excited, not just to see the art, but to read the text and the stories.
Yeah.
Dude, okay, so let me.
One of my favorite comics was Lone Wolf 2100. I mean, I didn't read a lot of comics, but there were some that I had to read. Red Star and Lone Wolf 2100. And when Lone Wolf 2100 came out with the Red File, which was just a comic book full of information about all the characters, I was fascinated by that. I probably read that more than I read any of the comic books. So I can't wait to see the text in here. And the same thing with Sean's project. I love the background. I love the detail. It reminds me, it's like Lord of the Rings. You can see the movie, but to read the book is a whole other experience because you can sift through the information and really, learn about the characters. Unfortunately, a lot of these comic books that you get on Kickstarter, you don't know anything about them until you jump into a picture story. And it's like there could be all this great writing about them that you could be reading about what they're like.
Well, part of what I was doing was I wanted to encourage other creators to be a part of what I was making. And so I wanted to say, here's some pieces. Do you want to play with them? I've already kind of molded them into this. You're more than welcome to play with them. Like that was the original idea. So what I did was I made these backstories different than backstories that I had heard. Like one of the characters lost their husbands. Her and her sister are now living together because their brothers or their husbands, which were brother-in-laws, died in a car accident, like on their way to a party or something like that. Like that's just a weird, like you don't hear about that. It doesn't have anything to do with their superpowers, but it's a real backstory for that person.
Right.
So I put a lot of thought into the backstory. I even hired an editor to do all of my backstories. Like I submitted all of these backstories to Andrea, and Andrea knocked them out and said, this doesn't quite make sense. Why is this? Why is that? And he helped me kind of like make these backstories very, very solid backstories for characters, even though I may never use all these characters, but the backstories are nice, chunky, and well thought out.
Right.
This Frost United, I brought this up because it is my it's my Roxxon, it's my LexCorp, my Oscorp, it's my bad corporation. It's basically Stark Industries, but on the bad side.
Right.
And it's FU.
Right.
Like that's the
Very
whole
nice.
That's the whole thing. Is it's FU.
Very nice. Yeah, no, like I was saying, like in Lone Wolf 2100, there was a corporation called Signat Awari. And they just kind of were like a mega corporation that was causing all the trouble. And it was so great to be able to read 4 or 5 pages about how the corporation formed, who the CEO was, where he came from and stuff. It didn't matter to the comic book, but it mattered to building the story out, the details that you don't get in the comic book.
Yeah. Look at this, man. Look at all of that text.
I know. That's what I'm looking forward to.
This right here went to the editor 4 different times with 3 different variations on the backstory, like completely reworking it because it was just a little too corny this way, or that way doesn't quite make sense. So we didn't just come up, and this is the character that Jonathan Hedrick created.
Okay.
This is Jonathan Hedrick's character inside my universe. So I just gave him the I worked with him to make sure that it fit inside the canon of Kerra Prime.
Right.
So when this character debuts in the next issue of Loggerhead Cold Blood, after that, it's gonna, if Jonathan wants to use it and make his own thing, he owes me nothing. You know what I mean? Like, he's gonna take it and go do what he's gonna do. But it's tied to Kerra Prime. Like, this character here is biologically related to another character inside the handbook.
Right.
Like, it's crazy. Like,
right.
So I'm looking forward to just having fun, cool stuff like this going on. You could take the screen off, man. I'm done showing shit. But
if you would show off Adam Fields' piece again for some of the people that were here at the beginning of the show, if you would, please.
No. All right, so there it is. Boom, shakalaka.
Wow, fantastic.
Wow.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal piece.
Very, very sweet.
Yeah, and then my buddy Geffrey turned in this cover here. And if you look, there's a little bitty Loggerhead hologram popping up.
Oh, yeah, look at that.
Gwen's a beast, man. Like, he's phenomenal.
So since this is a Kerra Prime thing, this original art is available through the Kickstarter. This original 11 by 17 page is available through the Kickstarter.
His art style looks very, very much like Adam Hughes's early work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's very Ken Lashley.
Yeah, I wish more comic book creators did this kind of thing, because, like Joshua just said in the comments, if you link me to a wiki about something that I'm already interested in, I'm now going to be reading 100 pages of that wiki. In other words, like, when I look something up and you get one of them little blue lines that says more information kind of thing, like, I'll do that. I will find myself through 5 or 6 streams of wikis, because as I'm reading about whatever, I find something else interesting and I want to read about it and read about it and read about it. And what a lot of comic books don't do is produce this, or like what Sean's doing, where you're getting some sort of deeper story. Just a fun, deeper story. There's a lot of people out there. I know it's comic books and it's a visual medium, but there's a lot of people who want to read about the visual medium that they're enjoying too.
Yeah, that's very true. Because, back in, back before the internet, when comics were a thing, there wasn't really a way to, like, read the history of these characters or what they went through. They'd always have the little bubbles, like, check issue number 187, or go, if you're reading like an X-Men book, go read West Coast Avengers number 21 to find out what they're talking about. Like, there wasn't really, like you say, and I think that's why a lot of people, when they're books, they're wondering, like, well, I'm not getting a lot of, like, traction on this book. It's because they're not setting up a universe. They think in the terms of, like, well, all I got to do is just make variants, right? Like, that's all I gotta do. Right. And I'll be set, and then I'll be able to fund my next one and my next one. But they're not thinking about, like, okay, well, what if people don't really care about, like, Loggerhead, but they care about this back character, and they want to know what his universe is like, or whatever.
That's part of what went into this. Is like, what if I created the character Baku, which is the guy in the yellow thing with the thing on his face? That was my original guy, but I was like, well, what if people don't identify with him? I need to make a couple of other characters. So that's what I was like, I need a Hulk character. And when I was in the Hulk character mode, that's when I came up with Loggerhead. I was like, I need a big guy that means business, but I want him to look like an animal, and an animal that's not overused. So I said alligator snapping turtle, and I was like, let's make him big. He's going to be my Hulk. So when I created him, he was my Hulk type character. I needed a guy that was going to be my big bad. In the event I ever needed him, it just turned out that when I was talking to the guys, my advisor who works at Scout, who's the president of Scout, he said, hey man, out of your whole handbook, the Loggerhead character looks to me to be the one that I would put my eggs in that basket. And with that, I started developing more of the Loggerhead story, because he said that's where he would go first.
Right.
Back in the day when I was doing my book Superior 7, I in the back of the issue, we had like 3 pages of character bios. And without fail, that stuff got the most attention that in issue 3, I started doing Isaac's journal entries, which was just prose. And it was him going over somebody's accounts in a mission and how they performed in combat and stuff like that. And people were just like, I got to have more of this.
Yeah,
So,
tech and stats and
absolutely. That kind of stuff is golden.
If you think of storytelling, you take the Lord of the Rings. By
Man,
the
you and
time,
the Lord of the Rings.
by the time, because it works.
No, I'm kidding. I'm just fucking with you, man.
By the time you get out of the Shire, you know the families.
Yeah.
Of hobbits that are there. Is it important to the story? Belladonna Took, is that important to the story? No. But you know who she is, so you know where Frodo comes from. You know it's like you've already spent time with him and hung out with him and know his family, and then you walk out of the Shire and you feel some of his fear and you feel some of his anxiety. And that's what these background details, it makes you connect to the characters better, because you're suddenly like, oh, this is where they came from. Oh, this is why they think that way. This, a lot of these Kickstarters, you open up the comic book and you're thrown right into the story. And I get that, because it's, you only got so many pages to do it. But
So
it's
with
like,
that-
where's that emotional connection? That's a tough thing to build. And something like those bios is a way for people, even after they've read the story, to go, oh, okay, all right, cool. And now they're picturing it in their head and connecting.
Well,
Yeah,
people
you've
are definitely
expanded your
people are-
universe just with a page of text.
Yeah, people are definitely looking for that, because all of the shock value of stuff has already been done, because there's Marvel and DC characters, right? Hulk, Spider-Man, all those, that shock value is already there. Now people, that's why it's reversed. Back then they didn't release origin stories till after 50 or 16 issues, right?
Right.
Now they want it now. People want the information now. They want, why is this character the way they are? What's the backstory? We already know he's awesome. He looks awesome. He's got these awesome powers, but why? And I feel like it's reversed now.
So what I plan on doing moving forward with Kerra Prime, because there's multiple stories that I'm going to be telling, and we're going to be doing different Kickstarters. So let's just say this is one story, and I've got another story, and I've got another story. We're going to package these up into a Marvel Comics Present. So it'll be 4 different stories in this graphic novel.
Might not want to use that name though. You might run into. I know what you're saying.
I'm going to work on it. I'm going to work on it.
Yeah, tweak it a bit.
It may be called
Marble.
It may be called
Marvel. That means
Marvel.
Do it in the same font though, to really really yank
homage cover.
Yeah.
But so we're going to do it, and at the end of the story, there's going to be all these different stories that you didn't know. They're not all going to be Loggerhead related. They're not all going to be Vegas related. They're not going to be characters that you may already be familiar with. So at the back of the book, I'm going to put in here's a bio sheet, and it's going to match the same design of the current handbook that I'm creating, so that if you were to X-Acto knife them out of the page and make a binder, because I remember I used to make binders of my shit, of the Marvel Universe handbooks.
Right.
I've done that.
It was all about making.
Brian had a Trapper Keeper.
Yeah, well, yeah, they could go in the Trapper Keeper.
Garbage Pail Kids on it.
Dude, I got a whole bunch of them right here in this.
I know. I saw it. I saw your
Series
post.
1.
I saw your post because I was engaging your content.
But so my goal is to have the design of these handbook entries, and anytime we introduce a main character, at the end of the story, we'll also give you that bio page, not at the beginning, but at the end. You can be like, "Yo, who was that guy that we made up?"
Right. Even a side character that steps in for a couple pages. It'd be cool. You'd see him maybe page 3 or 4, and then when you get to the back, you're like, "Oh wow, this is that guy."
And what it'll do is it'll force me to put a little bit more thought into writing that character,
right?
Because I need to figure out his or her motivation, why they're doing what they're doing. And then when I said, "Oh well, Daddy beat me as a kid," well, now in the bio I can say, "Oh well, how did he beat him?" Blah blah blah, and maybe this develops into a whole nother story that I feel like telling. Right. But it doesn't feel like a hollow shell of a character that you just put into the story to make the story move along from left to right.
Right. Yeah, because the shame of it is all these creators have a fantastic story in their heads, an incredible story. I mean, with all the details fleshed out, and then they have to cram it into 24 pages or 48 pages, and so they have to cut all of that stuff out. Well, guess what? I mean, I'm not talking because I'm not a comic book reader the way many people are comic book readers. I want that story. That's the part that interested me. All those little details about where they lived and how they got that way. That's the stuff that draws me in. And I think part of maybe comics continuing to be successful is storytelling, getting the story somehow into the reader's hands as well as the visuals.
That's what I'm trying to do. I think that's what we're all trying to do, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, Adam's doing that, Rodney. Everybody's trying to just get eyeballs on their product because we all believe in our product that much, like just so much. And shit, half the people in this room believe in everybody else's project in this room. You know what I mean? So it's just a matter of just exposing it to the world.
So that's what we talked about when we were creating what we're doing. At so here locally, we're doing a publishing company. Me and these two guys were just like, we had enough of this rejection. Let's just do our own universe, kind of like what you guys are doing. And but we decided, a lot of people, when we sat down and talked, a lot of people have fears of what if this kicks off, man? What if we don't have time to do 12 issues or write a graphic novel or do this? And then we decided, well, you know what, man, let's make it to where we can have submissions. Let's make it to where if somebody wants to take our character and run with it, if they've got a story or if they've got the talent, we'll let them do it. It's not a problem. And I think that's what a lot of people are afraid of, is not to utilize other creators and talent, because they fear their tunnel vision. They're like, I got to do this all by myself. I got to, and it's not the
we're
way
all
it
in
works.
this together.
Yeah, especially now, it's not. It's so easy to utilize people in the right way, of course, and not take advantage of people. But everybody's willing to work. People who get into the art field obviously aren't doing it, especially in illustration right off the bat to they don't think about it as making big bucks. They want to release.
Well, we don't all have 11,000 followers. So.
No.
But you do it because you want to, you're either tired of rejection, or you're wanting to be creative, or you've got an idea in your head, or you're just a workhorse, right? Like me, a lot of my team, I'm just a workhorse. I'm like tell me what to draw, I'll draw it. I might contribute some ideas here and there, but I really don't have the time to sit there and contemplate and write out stuff because I got kids, puppies running around, you know what I mean? So and that's how you you utilize people in your team or other creators, And
thanks, Russell.
I think that's important to kind of remember. And I actually other than Stef, but I'll have to check out his stuff. But I actually I've seen all you other guys' stuff online, and I dig it and stuff.
You've probably seen Stef work and not just not known as him.
I'm just real bad.
You thought it was a woman.
Social media and saying this is cool or or share, but I see it and it's all awesome, So, but
don't mind my fans in the comments; they're being wise asses.
So,
we passed. I started in comics, doing comic covers, and I started getting onto Facebook and Instagram. And 5 minutes after I got on there, all of my fans turned into friends and became wise asses. So I have nobody respects me as an artist. They just I have a wonderful woman in Australia who drunk texts me at 2:00 in the morning. My fans crossed the line from fans to bad house guests long time ago, including Russell. So he can duck his head over there, but he's one of the worst. Talking about
hey, it's all fun and games, but in all seriousness,
that's because
kicking back to what Armando said is, we're all in this together. Stef's super busy.
Yeah.
Stef's got a shit ton of work to do. Adam Fields is busy. He was showing off his bins the other day of here's stuff I need to work on. Here's stuff that's done. Here's stuff that's done and needs to be shipped out, and I'm kind of trying to work through it. And, Rodney's busy. Sean's busy. Armando's busy. All you guys are super duper busy, and you still took the time out of your day to get on here and help push Bryan's product because we believe in him. And, that just shows how strong the indie community is. And, to case in point, if you see that little banner up there in the corner, Comic Unity Online Convention 2020 that we are broadcasting to, that is what this is all about. You got CB Zane, Tom Hutchison, and Wendy Steen Shaner, who are sharing their 3 characters out of their own comic books into one comic book. And that's what we're all about.
It's honestly going to save comics because, as you know, I grew up with comics, right? When they weren't popular. Like, you read comics, you know, you got bullied. You stuck comics in your back pocket, and you went to school and you open and read it. If it tore, it wasn't a big deal. Now it's so massive that a lot of like bigger companies and even smaller independent companies are catering towards other fan bases, like people who just like the media or the video games or the apparel or
the art.
That's
right.
Like, my son loves all the characters. He never reads comics. He wants to watch all the movies. Dad, what are you drawing? Yeah, come draw me. No, I don't want to do that. Here, read this comic. No, I don't want to do that. Like, but indie comics, like what people are doing now, what we're doing, what everybody's doing, is what's going to save the people who still like to read comics, the people who still like to look, and the kids who want to draw and become comics and who want to be artists growing up, you know.
I was telling it, talking to one of the creators, and we were talking about retailers or whatever, and it's still like I said, I wasn't big into comics when I was younger. I did like the art and stuff like that, and then I went on with my professional career and everything else, and then literally about like say 10 months ago or so, I walked into a comic book store. And that was the first time I've been back in a comic book store since maybe in 15 years, 20 years. And I walked through this comic store and I'm walking along the wall and looking at all the new releases. And there was maybe 1 or 2 tops that even excited me, like looking at the cover. And I remember being more excited by covers when I was in 15 years before because there was differences. But I was looking at a wall of pretty much the same kind of art and the same kind of, and I get it. If you're a Batman fan, you're coming in and you're grabbing the new Batman. But I'm not a Batman fan, and there's nothing up here that's making me interested in comics. And yet, all these indie Kickstarters that are coming out, like all these indie creations, whole new ideas of what a character is, or whole new ideas of what art is. This is all exciting. I'm telling you, if I went right now back into that comic book store, I'd find 2 books that I might be interested in picking up. So what's going to save comics is that comics is more interesting than the guy who has the weekly pull on Batman. Because he's always going to get Batman. But that's not going to change. What you need is new people walk in and go, holy crap, that's a really cool looking book. And then they open it up and they see the bio sheets or something different that makes them connect to what comics could be.
So true. So true.
Yeah, and that's the shame of it. I literally was bored in a comic book store, and I'm like, this is terrible. This is mainstream, and mainstream's got nothing for me because I'm not the Spider-Man guy who has to get every issue of Spider-Man. Well, if you're just going to sell to the Spider-Man guy, if that's the only audience you're going to attract, you're doomed because he's going to die. Yeah, he's literally going to die at some point and not buy your books anymore. So where's the idea to get somebody new in? And you guys are doing that with what you're creating because you're not doing the mainstream.
Yeah, I feel that us as a group, as a collective, as a culture, we are kind of like the third wave of independent creators that when Marvel and DC put their pencils down during the COVID, we all had our pencils in our hands and were creating. We were
jumped
doing
in.
Time. Yeah.
You literally jumped into the void.
And I think that, I mean, we live it 24/7, so we're seeing your project and your project and your project, so we're really familiar with it. But people are coming and looking behind the curtain. What's going on in this corner of the world? Oh shit, this is all. Well, that's not Spider-Man. Who is that?
Right.
That's not Batman. Who is that? Ooh, that looks cool. Look at that big ass turtle there.
Right.
What's that about?
Right.
And that's what we're doing. We're muddying the waters.
I mean, I hate to say it, but COVID helped because you guys were working hard before. Yeah. But having that sudden stop brought attention to the fact that you guys have been working for years at this.
Yeah. And shine the light on us all.
And turning only X amount of issues over, all of a sudden you had the potential to turn over way more because you had attention. And it was like, and you guys, and the thing is,
gonna be crazy.
You didn't just jump in and create something overnight that didn't require a lot of work. You put all that work in long before this happened.
Oh, yeah, there's been so many people that have shown up, like, for example, when Rodney and I stream, where people have reached out to us, and it's like, same thing you're saying, Steph, where it's like, I haven't been into a comic shop 10, 15, 20 years, whatever, and then all of a sudden they're coming and hanging out with us every Thursday and Friday watching us draw because, like Rodney said, they're getting to see behind the curtain.
Right.
They're getting that extra like connection because we're there, we're available, we can sit around, chat, draw. They can see the stuff come to life in front of them that wasn't happening. What are we 6-7 months in now of this whole mess?
Right.
And yeah, it's definitely that next wave of the independent creator getting out there, trying to get your work seen. Kickstarter has changed that playing field for all of us.
Right.
Yeah.
Gave you the chance to create something and not have to sell it to 20 publishers who all reject it and you give up.
Right.
Like, if you can just scratch up the money to get the thing put slightly together and get the art up there, you can now fund it. It's just about building excitement for this incredible story that's in your head. Well, it's just getting it out there and then boom, people, back it.
Yep.
Well, and COVID too, the whole thing with the shutdown that happened, Marvel and DC shut down. So it left the indie market as the only market that was pushing books. So everybody turned their attention and said, oh, these books have been here the whole time. Well, these are really cool. And then they started digging in and saying, well, hey, I never really thought about the indie community. And wow, these books are really cool. And they just kind of branched out from there. And now that Marvel and DC have come back, people have still kept their light on the indies because they found out, hey, there are still books that have good stories to them.
Well,
And
And I'm
just
sure a lot of those Marvel and DC fans were like, holy crap, they just dropped us. Like this happened and they didn't try to make any contingent and suddenly I don't get my books. And then they're looking and you guys have been making books all along and you've never left your fans.
When they look behind the curtain and they see what we're doing, they're surprised that what we're doing is good.
Yeah.
Right.
And they like it because they're not used to that. They're used to the big two.
Right.
And they see, oh shit, Sean's got something that's really cool. Well, look what the hell Adam's doing.
Right.
Well, shit, Rodney's got Roadkill Rampage. This stuff is really good. You guys have really thought this out. Yes. They're the only difference between the people that work for Marvel and DC and us is nothing.
We own our shit.
Right.
You know what the thing is? I think people had the impression that Marvel and DC and the big names put out these really incredible books, like, artistically and story-wise. They have Eisner writers writing the stories. And I guess in their heads, they thought independent comics were black and white on the inside, and some third-rate artist cover on the front. I mean, you open up these independent books, they're freaking gorgeous, or not even like, who did you have on? Was that Hedrick, Russell, you had on the other night?
Yeah, I had Jonathan
with the
Hedrick on
zombies?
Tuesday.
The
With,
art in there
Freak Show
is
night.
freaking watercolor. His interior artist is watercolor.
Yeah.
That is a totally
Stefano is
different
the
book.
artist.
That's the most amazing thing about the independent market and the books is Marvel and DC have penciled, inked, computer colored stuff. They've got one look.
Right.
And the stuff that we're doing, every time you open up a book, I can't remember the name, but I was watching a podcast and somebody showed a book that they were reading. It was an independent book, and my God, it was absolutely gorgeous.
Right.
You get that variation, the variety of style and stuff
Exactly.
in the independent market. It's like the Vertigo line in DC in the 90s. That's why that was so big, because it was unconventional and people loved it. It's the same thing now with the independent market. Sean might color his books with markers, and I did Peanut Pudding and Jelly the first 4 issues. I hand colored that with colored pencil. It's different, and people love different.
And I was saying, when I was 20 something, I was in comic book stores looking at the art, and like I said, one of my favorite comics, and the only one I probably I bought Red Star and Lone Wolf 2100. Those are the only 2 comic series I've ever bought. And Lone Wolf 2100 was 13 issues. It was Jose Velasco was the interior artist. Completely different than anything I had ever seen, and I loved it. And that's the thing. You're going to bring a style of art to your interiors that looks completely different. And there are going to be people who don't like it. But the people who want something different are going to love it. Going to absolutely love it.
When you say you went when you were 20, I was
with
thinking you were going to say Action Comics #1.
Well, something to add on to what you're saying with the whole independent thing, like that correct me if I'm wrong, maybe I missed out, but the one thing that I think kind of got left out of the list of people paying attention to everybody was comic shops, the retailers. You know, they were all hurting. And the month of April, I have never done as much work as I did in the month of April because there were so many comic shops hurting for something to sell that Marat and I did something like just me and him outside of what he was doing with other creators. We did like 11 different Do You Poo, Tiggenverse, Hardly Thin covers because retailers wanted something so they could, pay their rent.
Exactly.
And that has continued. I mean, every time we've done like say a Facebook Live sale or something like that, we've had retailers, coming in, hitting us up so they've got something to offer their customers because they haven't been able to do. What was it? It was only like a month or two that Marvel and DC actually started coming back into shops on the regular, and DC still kind of a wreck on that.
And that's the thing is Marvel and DC don't. Let's be honest. Let's just say Marvel and DC are caring. They care about a market share, X and stuff like that. You guys your whole existence is based on the fan. Every single fan of your book is critical. Yeah. If you launch a Kickstarter and you get 200 backers, those 200 backers are the only reason you can even do another book.
Yep.
So you can't afford to have 199 backers when you can have 200.
Right.
Does that make a difference to the big publishers? No, not at all. So you guys and I think the fans are getting that now because they're investigating independent comics. Oh my God, the creators actually care about us. Oh my God, the creator actually goes on and does a live interview and talks with me about the book and shows off what he's doing. Like, they're not used to that. What is Marvel running live videos on how they're constructing their next issue? No. So there's no fan connection like you guys have.
So,
and you guys have it because you have to have it.
So that's how the big Q, like, they do their publishing is they play Russian roulette, right? They're like, okay, we're gonna put these books. What can we feature? We'll try to go with fan favorites. We'll try to go with the popular cover artists, and let's hope that this book sells. Where it's like you said, Steph, where the Kickstarter is asking digitally, like, what do you guys want?
Right.
Okay, you got the ability to unlock this cover, or you got the ability to add this content. Is that what you want, or you don't? You want to stop here? What do you want? And then that's when people start realizing, like, oh, indie creators are going to cater to what we want or what we want to see, as opposed to just the numbers. Well, I love Spider-Man a lot. He's my favorite character, but are they going to put out a book that I don't like the artwork on it, or I don't like the writer, or I don't like the cover art, or should I go in there and get it? Should I not? Should I wait till it's cheaper on eBay? Like, I don't want to pay $50 for a variant.
And your fans message you on Facebook. They message you through comments on the Kickstarter. They literally talk to you about things. Try doing that with Marvel and DC. Do you think it's going to make any difference? Meanwhile, you guys are seeing the actual comments from people who are actually backing your projects, and you're considering it. I mean, oh my God, a fan can connect to a book created by somebody who actually cares what I think. Isn't that awesome? That's the whole point.
That's what I'm trying to do. That's what I'm trying to do. This is my first time. I just know that it's fun. And before this gets out of hand.
The most important thing is to launch when you plan to launch.
It's my turn.
That is the key. After that, it's doomed. I mean, if you hit that launch button too early, forget it.
Yeah, I had to change my underwear. But I want to tell.
You're not the first.
I want to tell Adam. Thank you for your cover, Adam. Rodney and Sean,
welcome.
I want to thank you for your entry. Steph, I want to thank you for your cover search.
Oh,
Armando,
thank you for doing the colors on that and encouraging me to do that.
Armando, I want to thank you for your cover that you will do.
Yes, I will.
And Russell, I want to thank you for doing this. But I just wanted to do that in case anybody has to leave or anything. I want to make sure that you all know 100% that this would not have been able to be half as cool without any of you. And I thank you.
And I want to thank Sean for coloring my first published cover.
Hey, I'm glad I got to do it.
Freaking rocked it.
Oh, thanks, man. You were saying that earlier, and everybody else was talking. I didn't get a chance to really jump in there. But...
No, man. I tell you, like I said, I walked into AC Moore going, oh, my God. I'm on a cover, and Sean Forney colored it. Holy crap. And, of course, my wife's like, who?
And you educated her later, right?
Right. She knows now.
You got to throw out that line that I always say. I'm famous in small circles.
Yeah.
Yeah, very small.
Yeah.
Big in Japan.
Yeah, right.
I'm a rock star.
Picking up in Bangladesh right now. Trending.
Yes.
You have to pick an obscure country that nobody's going to look into.
There you go.
Because Japan, they can look that up on Google in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Indonesia.
Yeah, like Brian could get on Facebook and say that Kerra Prime is trending right now, and then you just got to pick a random country. Nobody's
Kazakhstan.
gonna look it up.
Yeah.
Trending is the number 3 book in. I did a project with Jay for Better Backstories. It was a Kickstarter back in December of last year. It's a role-playing game made, right? And his Kickstarter made something like $37,000 for a role-playing game made. And it was funny because one day I went and I posted my art that was included in the project, and I called it the #1 role-playing aid of 2019. And he's like, you can't really say that. And I'm like, of course I can. Where's the facts? Where's the data? There's nobody is claiming that title, so I'm claiming it for you. Like, who's going to question it? Whether it's the #1 role-playing game aid of 2019. Who cares if it is? But it sounds good. So the same thing. You got to say Kerra Prime is like trending, upward trending in pick a Russian province. Who's going to look it up?
Latveria.
Yeah, there you go.
The home of doom.
All right, Russell, I got to go, man.
Hey, I appreciate you being on stuff. I understand,
No, it's all right.
man.
My wife's family is over, and we're doing the social distancing from across the sides of the patio, and I have to go back there and be social.
No, I totally appreciate you being on. I know it was kind of a last minute
No,
thing,
thanks for having me. And great meeting you guys, Armando, Adam, Rodney,
Yeah,
John.
you as well.
Getting to see you.
Yeah, it's nice to actually get to connect the face with the art and everything now. So
Yeah.
It
I
makes
didn't
a
ask
difference.
if you were a female, but
Right.
I
Right,
didn't know what to picture in my head. Now I got it.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, Brian was sending me dick pics, but he might just do that with everybody, even guys.
So that's how he got you to draw the cover.
That's why
I
he
told
thought
you I
was
got a
like,
new
oh,
camera phone. It's got 3 Zoom cameras.
Makes everything bigger.
Right.
God.
Turn it landscape wide. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Russell, I had to throw that in there, man. All right, thanks for having me, Russell. Hey, everybody, I think Joshua in the comments was saying we're going to crowdfund a banner for behind Russell because we keep seeing his patio door as his backdrop, and it's really
He's got that sign about no pants on there.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's in his
Yeah.
garage. Is that his garage door? Are you in
No,
the garage?
I'm in the dining room. Yeah, hey, it's not about the backdrop. It's about pushing you guys and having these awesome conversations. And I'm a starving author, so trying to
Starving.
get my first book out there.
I hear you, man.
When's it coming out, man?
I'm having a few hiccups right now with the medical stuff, so there may be a little bit of a delay, but
Gotcha. Any ideas on projected?
November. I'm still planning on mid-November. If things come to head that I can afford it and knock out this last piece, I can possibly do mid-October. But I'm still
don't
setting
push
for that November date.
Don't push it. Don't launch early. That's a big mistake. It's a rookie mistake. And then if you need any help, Russell, getting this thing off the ground, let me know, man.
I appreciate
And
it.
you know you got a huge amount of people out there that are supporting you. So if you need
yeah.
help from us, Russell, you let us know.
Man.
Man,
I
you support
appreciate that a
everybody
lot.
else. It's our turn
Yeah,
to
I'm
kick up.
throwing it out there now. You need help? I'm here.
Right?
We're
He
here.
helps everybody else out all the time.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Absolutely.
I had somebody that had an issue, and a fan friend of mine, and he was the first to message me, "What the hell's going on?" And, like about some other guy that we hang out with online. He's already concerned. Like the guy doesn't have enough on his mind. First thought was like, "Is this guy okay?" That's why I love Russell.
Thank you. I appreciate that, man.
You are the heart, my friend.
Yeah.
All right, so I got to go, but if there's anything I can do for you, let me know, man.
I will do.
All right, bye, Steph.
Have a
Later,
good night,
guys.
Steph.
Thanks.
Enjoy your
Great meeting
family.
all of you.
See ya.
Hey,
Thanks
Steph.
for the info on. No, he's gone, but
Oh, sorry.
hey, now we got homework done on our how to do social media.
Yeah.
Oh, he's just going to take them. We're going to get to hear him.
Oh,
There.
that was really good.
That's all right. You guys want it was great. So I'm at work last week, or it was the week before last, and all of a sudden it says Stef Wilson's live in the middle of the afternoon. And I'm like, why is Stef live? So I get on there, and we're in his back pocket, and we hear his. I'm like, and so Wendy and I are just cracking up laughing. We're in the comments just posting stuff, and I'm like, oh my God, I hope he's not going to the bathroom. We're gonna hear like a couple of squeaks get let out, or something, and he's gonna drop his drawers in the middle of a Facebook live feed. Well, he finally gets into the studio, and he gets his phone out, and he sets it down, and he has this weird look on his face, and he brings his glasses down, and he's like, and he hit end. And I'm sitting there just taking screenshots. So like immediately, like 10 minutes later, his whole page is loaded with memes that I made, about his jitterbug automatically going live on him.
That's what that was. Okay.
Yeah.
I
And
saw
so
that,
everybody's
and I was laughing. I was like, oh my God.
That's
oh
beautiful.
yeah, it was great. Because I'm like, what in the world is this guy doing? And so yeah, we got to give him a hard time. It's what it's all about. Just like
I've seen him on several podcasts that I've watched, but I've never interacted with him. He's like super cool.
oh yeah,
He likes
Stef's
Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Yes, he does.
A little bit.
Oh, and Supernatural. You get him talking about Supernatural, he can talk to you all day about it.
Uh-oh.
Dude, that's been the best thing about this COVID stuff is like I said, I've seen a lot of you guys work online and stuff, but to just like be able to like see creators, kind of seeing their normal life. It's like, damn, man, they're all, doing the same thing I am and trying to juggle projects and family and,
What part of the country do you live in?
I'm in Texas.
Okay, so you're the Texas version of Rodney, and I'm the Ohio version of you. That's how I look at it.
Yeah.
I mean, Sean and Adam and I all live in Ohio, but we're kind of stutter stepped. I'm in Cincinnati. Adam's kind of in the middle in Dayton, and Sean is up in Columbus.
See,
so we kind of got Ohio
crazy.
locked down.
That's what's crazy is because I feel like
It's true.
here, like we're in Central Texas, and like we have a great comic book shop, our local comic book shop, but the comic community itself, like there's no cons, there's nothing. Like I feel like I'm the only, like me, Danny, and Joey, the only three people that are trying to create something. And so for the longest time, it's like, dang, man, I got to shut myself off. These guys are doing work everywhere, but that's cool. But I got to, and then to see just everybody like so grinding at their own projects, their own Kickstarters, it's like, cool, man, like I can be, interactive with these people if I want to. I just have to kind of reach out, and everybody's been cool about that. So,
Yeah.
That's
I mean, that's the thing. It's 10 years ago, I didn't know who Sean Forney was. Now, Sean and I are really good friends, and COVID has really solidified that a lot. Him and his wife helped me and my wife with our Kickstarter, and now we do these live streams together on Thursdays and Friday nights. And, we're interacting with, I didn't know who the hell Bryan SilverBax was 4 months ago. And now, he's a friend. I didn't know who Russell was, and Adam and I met Adam at his first con. We tabled next to each other and spent the whole show telling him about the do's and don'ts, and that was 6 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's doing his own thing, and it's about friendships and community.
dude, and what's the crazy is the talent, man. Like I see people's like their artwork, and I'm like, dude, what book did this dude work on? And I'm like searching like Marvel and DC, like what book did he work on? Image, like these guys are just independent artists. Like this is crazy. Friend request, follow. You know what I mean? Like it's wild, dude. Like
I think that's what a lot of people don't realize. And I said it earlier, is the talent that exists in the independent field.
yeah, it's wild, man.
It's staggering.
It's wild.
Well, yeah, that's the I don't know, saving grace of this whole Rona business is that like Rodney mentioned, we've gotten much closer, virtually because we've been doing everything online. We had plans back before this whole thing really hit. We were going to meet up and talk Kickstarter in person, and then everything turned to we were doing everything virtually.
Yeah.
And same thing. Bryan and I have been friends on Facebook for a while, but we really hadn't interacted too much until what was it, last month or month before Bryan came on with us to do the live stream, and that's what prompted me to do the piece for the book. Was I just really liked the story that he was telling us about what his book was about and everything. And he said he needed help with artwork, and I'm like, how can we help? And as he mentioned, and I know it was, tongue in cheek there, but I've been incredibly busy with a bunch of stuff. It's like, well, Rodney and I could tag team this. If I just do some rough sketches, I know Rodney can knock it out of the park. And Rodney, you took that thing and just ran with it, did the full on finishes, and then Bryan, you came in and colored the hell out of it, and hey, you got a piece. You're happy with it. Cool.
I noticed that a lot of artists are not big on coloring their pieces.
Dude, I hate coloring.
Like,
I hate that shit, man.
I
hate it.
Although I said that I've worked with a lot of people that have contributed to the book, I think only one has colored their own shit. They're like, I don't do colors. Like, if you want to color it, that's fine, but I don't do colors. So for some reason, it seems to be like colors are a very rough, sticky wicket. I don't know. Like, it's harder to get down.
Well, I'm going to throw this out. I color all of my shit, but I wouldn't be mad if somebody else colored some stuff for me.
My wife gets mad if I color my stuff. So Bryan, feel gracious that he got to color something of mine, because otherwise, it's always done by me, and it was just time wise didn't have it to.
No, dude, by no means am I complaining. I was just like it's weird. Like, as creative as everything. Like, dude, coloring is I'm not good at it. I fall into the acceptable range, like just enough to not suck, I think is as good as I am in coloring. But coloring, there's just so much.
Me personally, like after pencils and inks, I'm done with it. I'm like, I don't even care about this anymore. Like, get it out of my face. Like, I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I'm trying to get my wife to be like, look, you need to get on this iPad Pro and learn this real quick.
You need to learn how to base tone, sweetheart. That's all I'm saying.
So I do have a guy that colors that, but he's real busy too. So it's like, but man, I'm just exhausted, and I'd love to but I honestly too, part of me is like, I don't have the time. Like, I
try to color my own stuff simply to cover up the mistakes that I know exist in the line art. Like, I know that I can go back in there and I can erase some lines that don't need to be there. I can lasso the eyeball and pull it back up to where it's supposed to be. And I'm like, well, that face doesn't look that good, but if I shadow it just a little bit, it won't look that bad.
I tell Tina all the time, I'll fix it in Photoshop.
Yeah. Fix it in post. It's fine.
Fix it in post, yeah.
That's right. Fix it in post.
I'm a film guy, so that's the way I talk. I'll be like, oh, I'll get to it in post. Like when I'm doing my live streams and I do something obviously that's just totally out of whack, I'll be like, oh, I'll fix it in post.
You'd be amazed how many times I have last minute work where it's like, can you fix this for me? Everything's colored and whatnot, and I get either finished file or somebody. Sometimes I get lucky enough that I get stuff that's actually separated, where I don't have to try to fiddle around with not messing with the lines. Where it's like, can you tweak this for me? Because this guy didn't do it right or whatever. And it's, always a last minute. I need this to go to print next morning, blah, blah, blah. It's,
Yeah, they never have the layers. They never have the layers.
Hey, I color my own art.
There you go.
That's a Stef Wilson cosplay cover. Stef Cool, Naughty Fairy Stripper Assassin.
Nice.
I had Bryan color my cover because my tablet started going out.
Oh,
so I was in a pinch.
This isn't
like no.
Okay,
but it made me realize, I'm like, you know what? I really like having someone else color my stuff.
I have
Not
yet
bad.
to experience that. I haven't had anybody else color anything that I've done because I want to know what my work looks like when it's colored by somebody who knows what the fuck they're doing. That's what I want. One day it's going to happen. One day.
Once I get, because
there's nothing wrong
the
with
new
your
tablet
color.
I'm getting is an iPad Pro. I'll color something of yours.
I just
to pay you back for it.
Did you end up getting something new?
I've got to order it from our Verizon store. I'm going to get the iPad
Okay.
Pro with the pencil.
Okay.
Yeah, everyone talked me into it, and I like the portability of it. So
Yeah.
that'll be fun.
Yeah, colorist, man. There's too many blend modes and all that shit and texture brushes and stuff.
Man,
Well, but you don't have to use it all. I mean,
No.
when I color pitter patter, it's really basic stuff. I just flat it, and then I give it a shade, and I give it a highlight. And every once in a while, I'll do a gradient fill. And it's a cartoony book, but
So I'm completely traditional.
Beautiful.
I'm completely traditional, and I downloaded. I got an iPad for Father's Day, and then I got.
what the hell?
I downloaded Procreate and was like, man, I'm gonna jump on this digital train and get in there. Dude, I don't know what the hell I was looking at. Like you said, there was like brushes and palettes and flats, and then the layers. I'm over here sitting on working on something, and then I'm like, why isn't this color? And it's like, oh, I'm on the wrong layer. Crap. Okay. Like, it's
there's a learning curve you gotta consider.
There is.
Yeah.
So what I'm getting is my cover from Armando is going to be black and white.
Yeah. I mean, I can get my colors to do it, but
No. I'll think black and white. I was just fucking with you, but now I know.
But I have to ask that now because I feel like I wasn't used to it because I feel like majority of my stuff is black and white. But a lot of people that I've had work with, they're like, "Cool, when are you gonna color it?" And I'm like, "I'm not. Like, this is going to you, and you find somebody. Like, this is it." But like,
yeah, that's your job.
Yeah,
you like it so much.
Now I got used to asking people like, "Are you wanting this color so I can get in touch with my dude?" And but.
So Armando's sketches come with as a kit. You get a Crayola 64 color kit with your sketches.
Yeah.
Is that what you're
Paint
saying?
by number.
Yeah.
There you go.
You get the Chili's 3-pack, the green, the blue, and the red crayon.
This is how. So I did a cover. I did a cover for Empire State Building, right? For Blaze Comics, and my son, like, he likes to come and chill with me, and I draw and stuff, and so he's always seeing me just inks. He's like, "Why you never color?" So I showed him. I was like, "Hey, look what came in. The book came in," and he was like, "You did that?" And I was like, "Well, I did the inks." And then, Galen, my buddy, did the colors. He goes, "Oh, that makes sense, because this one looks like an artist did it." And I was like, "Wow, wow!" So
Little man's got jokes.
That's when I know I've made it. When my son's like, "All right, Dad, you're a good artist." Like, once he says that, he's cool with my work. I made it. But yeah, even he knows.
Kids, the biggest critiques.
Yeah,
crazy,
so
man.
But thank you guys for being
Yeah.
part. I don't know what Russell's doing. I don't know if he's got questions lined up or if we're just supposed to make shit up.
I never go in with questions. I kind of just go with the flow. I let the audience pretty much ask what the stuff that they want to ask, and I let you guys get out what you want to say. I don't want to like steer you in what direction, whatever. A lot of times, we just go with the flow. But
then let me flow. All right.
Okay.
So the next Kerra Prime book is already written, by the way. It's a Loggerhead, Cold Blood, and it's written, and I didn't even do any of the writing.
Nice.
It was written by Jonathan Hedrick of Freak Show Zombie Princess or something like that. Freak Show Princess, who's live on Kickstarter right now. And he's also got the recount coming from Scout in November. But he wrote it. He came up with that character Arctica.
Whoa.
The bear.
Yeah.
So that's his character
Cool.
that is going to be fighting Loggerhead in the Loggerhead book.
Wow.
And I didn't write it. So that's pretty cool that someone else is going to be writing the character that I did for the second issue.
That's
so we
really
worked
neat.
that out.
That's great.
Awesome. Co-creators.
I've got some more. Apex is still in production. And I've got a kid's book that's in production. It's called Little Loggerhead. So it's like chibi versions of the characters.
Nice.
And they're all going to be playing stickball. And some of the bad guys are just going to be throwing rocks at them while they're playing stickball. And they're going to be like, "Why are you throwing rocks at us, guys?" And they're like, "Because we were told that we don't like you." Well, fuck it. Let's all play stickball. And then that's the whole issue.
That's fun, man. That's fun too.
So I really,
That's a great kids book with language. I love it.
So Scout has launched a all ages 4 to 12 line, like an all ages books it's called Scoot.
Mhm.
And in January they're going to start putting out Scoot titles. And I wanted to have a child version of Loggerhead that can live if I ever wanted to tell a story with morality or anything like, hey, don't just hate people because people tell you to hate people. Find out for yourself if they're an asshole or not. So that's kind of like, if there's a story that I want to tell there, and marketing.
There you go.
You got to market, man. Like one day I may have a plush toy for sale, and then I want to be able to sell it to kids, and they'll be like, "Oh, that's Little Loggerhead," and I'll be like, "Yes, sir, it is. $25.99."
Ching.
But so that's the kind of stuff that I'm working on, and I'm doing. We're doing another. Like I said, we're going to package up 4 or 5 stories into Kerra Prime, like a Kerra Prime Tales from Kerra Prime. Have 4 stories in it, and then we're going to kickstart it as a. You get all 4 in one, and then that's how we're gonna. That's how that because I'm going to be working with Jonathan. Jonathan's going to be like my co-writer partner thing, getting all this shit done. So we're going to try to make Kerra Prime pretty big.
Sweet.
And I got a news today that there's another comic book creator that we may do a one-shot called Loggerhead Kills whatever the name of his comic book creation is. He's like, dude, I was thinking about it. I want to do a Loggerhead Kills blah, 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 and write the story about your character killing all of my characters. And I was like, hell yeah, let's do it. But that's going to be fun. So it's cool shit like that. Like in December, the Star Bastard Loggerhead, like that's 2 Scout properties that have nothing to do with each other. But we just thought it would be cool to work together because I think that's one thing that's missing in the independent world of comics is Adam's character may never meet Armando's character, and Rodney's character may never meet Sean's character, like in the canon of their things. But so I reached out, like I found another character I liked at Scout Comics, and I sent him a message. I was like, "Hey, dude, I really like Star Bastard. He's pretty cool. Do you think that we could ever do a meetup?" And he was like, "Yeah, dude, I'll like it." I was like, "Fuck, that's how easy it is."
Yeah.
And so I'm going to do stuff.
That's what Image did back in all the time back in the day.
Yeah, yes.
And they even had reverse issues where like Jim Lee drew a Savage Dragon story,
Yeah.
and Eric Larson drew a Wildcat story. Like,
so I'm doing that, and I really, the more and more I've got these animal characters. I don't know what the hell people like. Oh, that bear looks awesome. Oh, you got a killer whale and a turtle. That's awesome. I'm like, dude, I'm just making the next Masters of the Universe, I guess. Like, I'm just going to create Eternia and have all these weird looking guys and come up with the backstory later.
dude, that Cable, like you ever look at Cable's trading cards? All his origins were like unknown. Deadpool, unknown. All their like origins unknown. Real name unknown. Because they came up with that shit later.
Nobody knew shit about Wolverine for 20 years.
Oh yeah.
That's why he was so popular.
They were like, "Well, this character's popular. Let's write a story about him." Like, oh, I thought you already did that. That's why I was reading this comic. Like, but
it's like Boba Fett all over again.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like people now, you can't do that now because people are they're already expecting that shock value, right? They already see it. But that's why this is going to be successful, and everybody's.
Well, they have the "but why" attitude. I know that he killed that guy, but why?
Yeah.
And they need the answers. And I fall into the same boat when I'm watching a movie. Like, I don't need the "but why" right away, but I'm like, they better tell me at some point why they did that.
It's because people get spoiled with like event books now, right? Like you got Metal and this new Venom God or whatever, and this Carnage series, like the big events, right? House of X event, and they get spoiled with that. Why is this all happening? Why is this all connecting and stuff? So they expect it now to, and that's fine. That's great. A lot of those stories are great. A lot of those events and stuff is great. But I think it's important to think of, instead of thinking on a smaller scale of like, let's just do a short, like compact story, or like something that's real compact to creating a whole universe.
And that's similar to the way that the guy at Scout had advised me when I showed him the handbook. Kerra Prime live on Kickstarter right now. When I showed him the handbook, he said, I approached it. I was like, hey man, I'm writing a graphic novel and I've got like 5 of these characters doing some really cool shit. And I've never done this before. I just wanted you guys to know. He said, well, hold on. You've never written a comic book before. You've never drawn a comic book before. So why don't you take 1 or 2 characters and just tell a 20-page floppy story on a couple of the characters so that when you do the graphic novel, they'll be like, oh, this is that character that did that thing. So now I kind of know a little bit more about him. And I don't have to spend time inside the graphic novel giving you all the backstory for all 15 involved characters. He said, just do little one-shot stories for some of the bigger characters, and then we'll go from there. That way that you don't have as much heavy lifting to do inside of the graphic novel.
Right. You're laying your foundation down 1 brick at a time.
Yeah, but I was just gonna start building the building.
Yeah.
And I didn't know, it hadn't crossed my mind that, all right, I'll just tell a Loggerhead story. I'll just tell a Baku story. I'll just tell an Apex story. And then once I've got all these different things kind of going, I'll be like, Avengers, the movie. I've tied it all together with this awesome plot of Loki taking on New York. Like, so that's the way I'm constructing everything now. Rodney looks confused.
No,
I do have a question though. So, Sean and Rodney have a collaboration with the Kerra Prime. What about you guys want to tell us a little bit about cryptids? And I was kind of curious too if any of the artists here would have a piece in cryptids or what you guys kind of had planned for cryptids. If you want to talk about it a little bit.
Sure. So, like I said earlier when Steph was asking about it, is I think it was like 2011. I did the book, which I left it out in the living room. I would show it off a little bit. We did it, like I say, it's an in-universe. So like think
well, Sean, why don't you give a quick
what's the Harry Potter book?
Sean, why don't you give a quick backstory real quick on Scarlet Huntress and what she does and why this handbook exists?
That would make sense, wouldn't it? So Scarlet is a descendant of Little Red Riding Hood that hunts werewolves. She's been away for a while because her mother died tragically, and she comes back into town, starts to kind of discover some stuff, and finds out, all this stuff of this family lineage of being a descendant of Little Red Riding Hood, what that means, and hunting werewolves. And like I said, back in, I'll say 2010, 2011, somewhere in there, we came up with the idea of doing the field guide book, which it's her in-universe collection of all the various creatures she comes across and keeps a journal. Yeah. She keeps this journal of, and like that, it's like magic. She keeps a track of all these things that she comes across. And I'm gonna open to my favorite page since we're talking turtles. My buddy Jay Fife did this killer snapping turtle piece. So this is the giant turtle, and
mountains on his back and shit.
So it's like you can kind of see on the rest of the stuff. It's like her actually writing the notes of all the creatures she comes across and all this. And so it's all from her perspective, her point of view. And when we did it from the get-go, I obviously did a bunch of the artwork myself, but I actually, at the time went to a handful of friends and said, hey, would you do a piece of artwork? So on and so forth. And we put the book together. But like I said, back then we didn't have the capability to do crowdfunding and whatnot. So it was like we had to limit it. It's like 31 pages or something. It's an odd page count. And we had to go black and white and stuff to keep it affordable so we could print it. So now we're doing the same thing of like collecting artwork from friends. Like Rodney's done a piece for us and probably working on a second one. Adam, I got your message. I'll respond in a little bit on what we're doing and whatnot. But I've got friends from or artwork from friends like Jay Fife, Jalen Warner,
Jamie Snell.
Think off top. Jamie Snell did a handful of pieces for us. Nate Lovett's supposed to be doing a piece for us. And, just people that were willing and able to contribute to this thing. and you know, we're basically, you know, trading off stuff. Like I, you know, asked Rodney if he could contribute a piece, and you know, I did the piece for Roadkill Rampage. It was, you know, it's kind of that kind of thing where we were, you know, there it is. There's the Skinwalker piece that Rodney's done for us, and so we're like, you know, trying to, I guess, utilize all our connections with, you know, numerous friends that are writers or artists, what have you, because we are going to actually have some writings from some friends in here as well, to just get the book to where we want it to be, to have all this stuff that, again, it's Scarlett's journal of all these various creatures she comes across, because, you know, it's basically just Stef and I as the team putting this book together. So it's like impossible for us to tell all these stories that are rattling around in both of our heads of, wouldn't it be awesome if Scarlett ran into Bigfoot, or, you know, she runs into, you know, the giant turtle, the a Yeti, and all this kind of craziness. And so like we're going and giving people like a little taste of like the other stuff floating around in their heads that we know we can't, you know, we'd never possibly able to, you know, do an entire comic series of all this craziness. But this gives us a way to tell those stories, have some artwork to go with it. For example, like, let's see if I can find another one. So here's a really great example. So it's like, did the journal page where it's like, you know, her like on the spot drawing in the field, drawing a picture of the Bigfoot. And then we've got these eyewitness accounts, which are, if I could figure out how the camera works, geez. You know, one of our friends doing his interpretation of Bigfoot, and it's, you know, a very cartoony, just goofy, silly looking Bigfoot, but it, you know, feeds into the whole idea of like, you know, the eyewitness account thing where people, you know, they see something moving in the woods at night, and this is their take on it. And so that's what we're doing. So like Rodney's take will be his eyewitness account, like Scarlett interviewing Rodney going, so what did this guy look like? You know, what do you have? Blah, blah, blah. You know, that kind of stuff gets worked into the story. So it's just this fun mix of, again, just all the stuff that we'd never be able to fit into enough comic books that we'd ever be able to produce. But we can still get the stories out there in one way, shape, or form. So, yeah, there you go.
And this will be later this year. It's going to be kickstarting.
We're hoping for October if we can get enough stuff done. That's our game plan. We mapped out a bunch of it today. We're looking at hopefully around 60-some pages. Again, it'll be artwork, story, and you know, we'll do the Kickstarter with the whole workup of, you know, we'll have all the previous issues, which you know, producer A hopped into the studio to hand me. So like, you know, we'll have the other 4 issues if I can.
Are those traditional comic book size? Or are they big?
No, they're traditional comic size.
For some reason, the angle on these makes it look like those are giant ass books.
He's got them bounced on the desk. That's why
Yeah.
he's high up.
So like, you know, we'll have packages available. You can get caught up with the entire story that we've done so far, all 4 issues. We'll have the variant covers for the previous book. The last Kickstarter we did 6 different variant covers and whatnot. So we'll include all that stuff in the Kickstarter. We'll have prints of some of the individual creatures and whatnot, because I'm really jonesing. Like some of the creatures we're going to include are like mermaids and fairies, and you know, I like drawing women apparently, so I'll be, you know, some of those, as well as, you know, the werewolf, the Bigfoot.
Now you're giving Brian ideas. Look at him.
No, Brian can't draw women.
He's going to have a sexy fox character next.
No, drawing boobs ain't my thing.
It's been my thing for a few years.
Yeah.
So Sean, do you need help writing stuff as well?
Say that again, Rodney.
Do you need help with writing as well?
That's what Stef determined today when we looked at the pages and realized how much more stuff we still have to go. So, Rodney, if you want to,
I'm in. No,
All
I'm
right.
seriously, I'm in. I'm all about that. I mean, that's, you know, I mean, I dig that world, man. So I'm in. Sign me up.
I'll have producer A send you like the guidelines or whatever we're gonna call it to work within.
Cool.
But
And I get
yeah.
to draw the giant spider too, so I'm excited about that.
Yes. I couldn't remember which other one you picked. So yeah, Rodney's doing a giant spider for us. So we got the Wendigo, we got Flatwoods monster, just all this stuff that it all came out of. Like I said, back, this was like 2010, 2011, somewhere in that ballpark. A friend of mine who passed away, but I used to go hang out with him daily, and we would sit there and draw and do our thing during the day, while our wives were both at work, and he just needed somebody to hang around with him to kind of keep an eye on him and whatnot. And we would just sit there and like come up with ideas, and that was one of the ideas we came up with. It was like, because I wanted to get a Scarlet something or other put together for San Diego Comic-Con that year. And it was like, I knew I didn't have enough time to do an entire comic issue, but he was like, well, hey, how could you do, something like this? And, we just spitballed ideas back and forth where we were sitting on the couch. Like, I think at the time I was like working on a Lego magazine, and he was working on whatever the heck he was doing at the time. And, that generated the start of the idea. And then, like I said, just started hitting up friends going, hey, would you mind, doing artwork for one of these various, creatures, whatnot. And, thankfully I've got a bunch of nice friends that were willing to just, go, okay, here's a sketch, here's this, here's that. And, same thing this time around. We're just trying to like up the production value, going full color and, doing all this stuff. Again, stuff we weren't able to afford the first go around.
What about you, Adam? Do you have any projects or anything that you have upcoming that you'd like to talk about?
Yeah, actually, I'm working on volume 2 of Prowl. Looking to release it next year. Trying to restructure the format of it, just narrative-wise. But I'm actually working on my first thriller, so that's kind of a new challenge. Prowl is basically just a vigilante werewolf, so it's a semi-superhero story. But I think this thriller is going to push me a little bit out of my comfort zone, and I think it's going to have more prose than it does like panel to panel artwork. So, real excited for that one.
Sounds awesome, man. I love all these guys doing these werewolf books, man.
What's it called, Adam? It's called Prime.
It's going to be called Driven Mad.
Driven Mad. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Interesting.
And Armando, we talked probably, I guess it's been a few weeks now.
Yeah.
You got your projects that you're working on too.
Yeah, so we're getting closer to actually, and we're just gonna drop it a bomb. Me and Danny are both bad at posting stuff. Our writer's like, dude, are we gonna go on these interviews? Are we gonna go on these? We're like, dude, we're just gonna drop this. Like, so we're launching a whole universe, and Danny's actually his stuff's gonna be published first, which he'll be doing a couple character books, but he's introducing the whole universe. So he's knocking out about 70 pages, and it's going to be a big introduction into the Plus universe. And we have we're jumping into like Arthurian lore, so like a descendant of King Arthur and Merlin and stuff like that. I'll be working on a book called Lawbringer, which is kind of like Gundam meets Power Rangers meets Guyver meets Star Trek. Like, we've got a Thunder Stallion, we've got a classic pulp character, Bronze Man. We've got all these great characters, and we if you go to our Facebook page, you can see all of Danny's work that we are allowed to post. But I mean, he's already inked about 30 pages, and we're planning to launch either at the beginning of next month or in the middle of it, and we're gonna offer a bunch of like cool tiers and stuff. But yeah, we're I mean, people are like, I'm pretty sure we're like, man, these guys are a bunch of talk. Like, they're not gonna do anything. Like, we have not posted anything. We kind of have talked about it on interviews, and then maybe we'll post here, like, check it out and stuff. I haven't really done any pages on my stuff yet, just because I'm catching up on commissions and other published work that I'm working on with guys. But I mean, we're diving into like mythical stuff, sci-fi stuff. It's gonna be really neat. And then from there, probably once we launch that Kickstarter, and then I do my book, and then Danny will do his Bronze Man book. Then we might look into like having submissions for other artists that either want to do their own characters, their own stories, or work on some of our characters, or write artists, tag team collab. I mean, just different stuff. So it's gonna be pretty gnarly. So
Hey man, if any of you guys are looking for stick figure art, I'm kind of cornering the market on that.
Yeah.
So
Well, I mean, we have tons of plans with these characters, and we want to do like a web comic strip where it's cartoony. They're kind of like cartoony kids versions of them, doing with everyday cultural aspects. We have a character. His name's El Toro Negro, which is Black Bull. So he's of Hispanic origin, and we kind of have a cartoon strip lined up for him to, everyday cultural kind of like things that he deals with his grandma and stuff like that. And but yeah, man, I mean, we're taking these characters and we're gonna do lots of stuff with them, so it's exciting. And if you guys go Taney Flores Imaginary Heroics, go check out our stuff, and it's fantastic. Like he sent the cover over, and man, I can't stop looking at it. It's really awesome. So
Sweet.
what was
I
that
put
again?
Diver in there, and I was sold.
oh yeah, and it's crazy because I normally get gigs for like horror stuff, kind of, I feel like, but I'm really excited about this to jump into like this classic like sci-fi kind of. They're kind of like Power Rangers. I don't know if I got my sketch up here or something, but they're these guys they're kind of like a police force, but they have these energized swords that they pull through portals and can access. And the young protagonist Jason is from Earth, so he's dealing with all these aliens, and he's kind of his destiny is from his lineage, his ancestors, and he's trying to make his way through this police force, and he's got this like bad cool suit with this helmet. And it's really neat, man. It's really cool. So,
What's that Facebook page?
So Plus Waco Comics, and then
Plus Waco.
Yeah, Plus Waco. Yeah, Plus Waco. And then you can see some of Danny's work, Danny Flores or Imaginary Heroics on Instagram. And then, of course, you can just search my name and my stuff will pop up. But right now, I've just been posting like commissions and stuff. But yeah, man, check it out. And like I said, once we get to that, and we'll announce it. We'll be, hey, we're open for submissions, whether it be for, variant covers, or if you want to, create a character or collaborate with a writer or artist. We're going to be set up that way where you're like, hey, I kind of like want to be set up with a writer. I haven't had any luck getting anything. Well, okay, we got this writer looking for an artist. Or, are you into horror stuff? We got this horror writer. The sci-fi stuff. What do you, oh, we really like your character. Can I write a short story or a short? Yeah, man. Like, let's see what you got and stuff. So that's kind of what we're wanting to do. We're going to crowdfund the actual, project as far as getting it out to fans and stuff. But as far as everything else, we're doing it out of our pocket as far as publishing and doing that stuff. So paying colors, paying letterers. We have a letterer, really cool dude. But yeah, we're doing all that out of pocket. So it's gonna be fun, man. We decided we had started this a while back. I was gonna do a series called Fire Slayer, which is about this firefighter who is in this post-apocalyptic world that's fighting dragons, and which that's still in the works too. But we had both me and Danny had got some opportunities to possibly do some work with the bigger companies, and it just didn't work out, and we were just tired of rejection. So we're like, let's hit this force and quit putting it on the back burner and just let's do it. So I'm pretty excited. I'm ready to get to pages. It's been a while.
Awesome, man. I can't wait to start seeing some of the stuff coming out.
I was number 300 that liked the page.
Awesome.
Nice. I gotta go do that.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it, guys. And like I said, we're willing to help out anybody else too. I mean, this whole thing is put my line of work into a new perspective of interacting with creators and stuff like that, making an effort. Before I kind of use that excuse, I was like, oh, I'm too busy, or I gotta, but now I'm just like, well, I just got to get out there, and if I can help people while helping myself, it'll be great. So
yeah,
and plus there's nothing like having a long-term project, finally come to fruition. I mean,
yeah. And also too, because this year, I'm very while I'm sociable, I was never the type to go to conventions. I did local conventions, but this year was going to be the year I signed up to go all over the state. I was going to go to I think probably about 10 or 12 states to go to conventions, and it all got canceled. So I was like, well, crap. So now this is a chance to reach out to people so that when conventions do start, I'll be able to come to you guys' table wherever y'all are at and be like, hey, let me check out your stuff or come visit with you guys and stuff like that. So,
dude, 2021, come the end of next year, there's going to be Artist Alley has so much content,
dude,
because we've done nothing as independent people except create content this entire year. And then when the conventions start,
see, and that's what's crazy is because I feel like a lot of the bigger publishers have been offering like online signings and buy this package and we're doing this store like secret store signing, whatever, that when the cons come, people are already going to have their stuff signed and have their stuff, that they're going to have no choice but go to independent creators and like, dang, I ordered this off of Kickstarter. Now I want to go get it signed. Like, I want to meet the artist. I want to meet the writer. Like, and so that's going to be like a big thing.
All right, guys, I got to bounce.
Yep. I'm going to write a shutter down. So
Yeah, I'm going to do the same. It was great meeting, talking with everybody tonight.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
You guys are great. I love all your work. Like I said, you guys are awesome.
Thank you.
Kicking it.
You as well.
I'm actually about to get excited. I'm about to go start this layout for this Kerra Prime. So
Nice.
Cool beans. All right. Everybody have a great night.
Yes.
have a good one, Rodney.
thank you guys.
Bye, Rodney.
Y'all know where to find me.
I'm going to be drawing tomorrow at 11 a.m. if you guys want to hop on and watch.
Yeah, check them out. The Art of Rodney Fyke.
Sketches. So, all right. See you guys in the morning.
See you, Rodney.
Yeah.
Bye, Rodney.
Bye.
All right, guys, I am out too. Everybody have a good night, and I'll start streaming again Monday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern. If anybody wants to follow me along on Facebook, Twitch, or YouTube, and then I'll catch all the rest of you guys on the interweb somewhere there.
All right.
See you guys.
Have a good one, Sean.
All right, Sean. Thank you, sir.
Yep.
And like I said before,
I am signing off too. But I'll wait. Go ahead.
Oh no. Check them out. It's Rodney Fyke Art on Facebook, and then you've got Sean Forney Illustrated on Facebook, and also check out the Thursday night live and the Friday night showdown. They have awesome show. It's just basically an hour and a half, 2 hour show with Rodney and Sean, and sometimes they have guest artists on like Andre and a few other ones with Dre Studios.
Yeah, I've been on there. I still have my what was it, like what do you get, 20 minutes or something like that?
30 minutes.
Yeah.
So
30 minutes.
So yeah, they do basically do a 30-minute sketch off of whatever the audience votes on. Star Wars this week was I don't even remember. It's been a crazy week, but it's pretty cool. So check it out. Thursday Night Live, Friday Night Showdown. Check out the group and definitely go give their artist page a like and check out their art. Adam, if you want to give everybody a shout out where they can find you.
Yeah, pretty much right here on Facebook. The Art of Adam Fields, Instagram, Adam Fields 127. Yeah, this was fun, and it was an honor to be able to do this cover for you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, my pleasure. So I'm going to sign off because I had a long day at a Comic-Con. I'm going to go to bed. So,
well, thanks a lot for being here, Adam. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me. Take care, guys.
You too.
Bye.
So if you want to chat for a little bit, Brian, we can. I definitely love the project. I'm definitely interested to see where it goes. Year Zero, Loggerhead. I still haven't had a chance to read the comic yet. I got them both. I got the main and the variant. I'm really hoping to try to sit down. Things have been crazy, man.
No, I get it. And it's, to me, Loggerhead that was my first, I got on base with Loggerhead. Now I'm trying to start collecting runs. You know what I mean? So I'm going to do this Kerra Prime handbook to try to introduce everybody to a couple of more things that are going on, and then get some feel back from people to, hey man, I really like what you're doing. Like I want to just know that anybody's interested in what I'm doing.
Yeah. And for those of you that aren't familiar with Loggerhead, I'm going to go ahead and take the full screen here for a minute, and I'm going to show off some of the, so here was the Loggerhead, the ash can.
Oh, 9/8.
And then here was the recently released issue here. I guess it's been about 2 months ago.
Yeah, that came out on July 7th.
And then you've got the
A cover.
And then last but not least, of course, what came before Kerra Prime?
Everything,
was
it all
the-
comes from that book right there. The Year Zero Handbook. But yeah, so I really want to thank you, Russell, for putting this together, man.
Yeah, no, it was my pleasure. You know, I enjoy getting on here and talking to you guys. You know, I like to give back. You know, part of my favorite thing about going to cons is getting to meet the artists. You know, it's one thing that I always preach all the time. When you go to a con and you have these artists that you love, you see their art all the time on covers, but you never get to meet that person. You never get to put a face behind the name.
Yeah.
Oh, who's Bryan SilverBax? I see his name on all these books. You know. And so by going to a con, you get that chance to talk to someone. But, you know, cons sometimes suck because, you know, C2E2, you got 10, 20,000 people there. You got, you know, these booths have hundreds of people in line. The artists, the creators don't have a whole lot of time to sit down and talk to people. And so, you know, this was something I've been trying to do for several years. When I started Art Exposure back in the end of 2017, I was like, hey, let's get some artists on here. Let's have them, you know, draw online. Let's have them interact with people. Let's have them, you know, show people who they are, you know, get to the heart behind the person instead of just seeing a name and not, you know, maybe you've seen a picture of the artist, you got a name and a face, but who is Bryan SilverBax? Who is Ed Williams? Who is Wendy Steen Shaner? You know, who is Adam Fields and Rodney Fyke and Sean Forney and so on and so forth. And that's what's nice about this online, you know, platform. It gives me the ability to get on here and say, hey, I love your work. You know, I'd like to know more about you and chat and give other people a chance to ask questions. And
I think part of what I think part of the reason that I enjoy doing stuff like this is, although I have achieved just a little bit, it may be inspirational or give somebody else a little bit of something more. Yeah, skinny. So it may be giving somebody a little bit of that kick in the ass that they need to say that, well, maybe I should pursue my creative endeavors. It doesn't have to be comic books. It doesn't have to be anything. Like, it just needs to follow what makes you happy creatively and leave something behind. Because once we're all gone, did you leave anything of value behind? You know what I mean? Aside from your kids and your grandkids and all that other stuff, will the world know that you existed? And if you put something out that you're passionate about and you keep going at it, you will leave something behind.
well, you know, and that really hits home, Bryan, you know. So, you know, I don't know if you've ever been online. So, you know, here's part of my story, my hashtag inspiration, you know, for the night. You know, this was a project I started 10 years ago. You know, I just posted the other day, you know, one of my memories from 2013 when I posted, I can't wait to finish this book. You know, life happened to me.
Yeah.
This had always been my dream. You know, my son was born back in 2015 and he had open heart surgery at a week old.
That's
And
never good.
and then, you know, I'm like, oh, I'm going to work on the book while I'm at the hospital. And it never happened. And then, you know, we came home after a month. And then on Mother's Day, we went back in the hospital. So it was like a week after he had been home and he had to have, you know, 2 surgeries done. He had to have pilar myotomy because he had pyloric stenosis. So the food wasn't getting down into his stomach. It was just basically circling in his stomach and couldn't get into the intestines.
Okay.
So that's the pyloric muscle. And so, you know, we had these surgeries and stuff that happened. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to work on the book. I'm going to work on the book. And, you know, but then when you get in the hospital and you get all this stuff going on, your mind's not in the right place. And, you know, so my Chromebook just sat there. You know, I took my Vita with me, my PlayStation Vita. I was like, oh, I'll play some games in the waiting room. But, you know, your nerves are a wreck. And, you know,
No, I can imagine.
Games make you mad anyway, but it's like you're already frustrated. It's like, I'm not going to play this game. But, you know, long story short, life kept getting in the way. You know, he had the surgeries, and then following that, he had, you know, cardiac cath at 11 months old. Then he had another open heart surgery at 1.5 years, and then another cardiac cath. And
Well, I mean, at this point though, it's not just life getting in the way. Like this is extraordinary. Like most people have life getting in the way, but this is a very compound issue that you're dealing with. So I hope that you don't by any means think that, oh, look at me, I keep making, like, you have a 100% valid reason for putting off personal goals or personal things that you wanted to do because you've got someone that's depending on you. So don't beat, I don't know if that's what you're in, but don't beat yourself up over it taking as long as it takes for you to get there, man. This is not that most people are dealing with.
No, I understand. And so, I finally just gave up on my project. I was like, I'm not in the right mindset.
You can press pause. You can press pause.
Yeah.
Don't give up.
Yeah. And well, I did, it's just like things just kept happening and happening. My wife had precancerous cells, so she had to go in and have surgery. And then this happened, and then that happened. And it was like every year I would have to use all my vacation. We were in the hospital. It was either my son having surgery, my wife having surgery. Well, then last year I got sick back in March, and they couldn't figure out what was wrong. We went to C2E2, and, we got back home, and like I was just sick all year last year. They couldn't figure out why my stomach wasn't digesting food, and it was just miserable. Well, then that went away, and so we're like, oh, okay, everything's good now. Well, then, the first week of January, I'm at work. I bend over in the truck. I have this lightning pain in my side. And I'm like, oh, I just pulled a muscle. No big deal. So then the next week, I'm driving down the road and I sneezed and I went blind for 10 seconds. And I mean blind. I mean, no joke. Like it was full on white, couldn't see color. And I'm like, oh my God, something's wrong. So I called my wife. I said, hey, I'm going to drop the truck off. We're going to the hospital tonight. Something seriously is wrong. So they did a CT scan. They found a mass on my liver.
Oh, did you go blind?
No. So this is a compounding issue. So this is 2020.
Dude, man. Who did you piss off upstairs?
I don't know. So this is my 2020. Everybody complains about 2020, but dude, mine's been brutal. So they found the mass on my liver. Well, in the following week, I went in for an MRI. They found a 3 by 5 centimeter mass on my spine. And so they thought that's what caused me possibly to go blind because it was pushing up against the nerve. So then at the end of January, they did a PET scan. The PET scan came back significant evidence of malignancy. I got the results Saturday morning at 8:30. I was sitting right here in this spot. I had just sat breakfast on the table. My phone was sitting right here next to me. It dinged. I was like, oh, my blood work's in. I wasn't expecting the PET scan to come back. I had it at 3:00 on Friday. I wasn't expecting it to come back. I opened it up and I seen that and I just burst into tears. My wife's like, what's wrong? And I said, it says cancer. There's significant evidence of it.
Yeah, fuck that. Yeah.
And so she's like, well, how do you know that?
Is there good? I mean, are we just building up to the shit's all good right now?
No, I wish.
Are we
yes,
still
no cancer. No cancer. So we finally found that out this Monday.
Oh, so fuck, dude, you're killing me, Smalls.
So here's what happened. So the 31st of January, I had the PET scan. My doctor was on vacation until February 15th. So he wanted a biopsy done, but radiology refused to do the biopsy. They said it's too close to his spine, it's too close to his lung. If it is cancer, we could masticize it into his lung, or we could hit his spine and it could paralyze him. We're not doing it. So then my doctor's sending me messages while on vacation, like, why haven't you had this biopsy done? I'm like, listen, dude, my wife has been on the phone with the head of the hospital, the head of radiology, the head of radiology, Washington Hospital, all these St. Louis Hospital, all these hospitals. I mean, she was just in a fit of rage because she's like, it's going on a month and a half. We don't know anything more than we did from the start. And meanwhile, the symptoms were progressing. So finally, we had to give up on all of it. And I had to go back to work because I ran out of FMLA and all that. So I went back the first week of March. I had to have a CT scan. They wanted to check on the mass to see if it had changed in size. I went in for the CT scan. 2 days later, I came down with the flu. So I missed the rest of that week. Went back on the 9th. worked the 10th and the 11th, and then on the 11th on the way home, somebody ran a light right down the street for me and totaled my car. So my airbag went off right here, snapped my hand all the way back to my wrist. I had burns from here all the way up.
What the fuck, man?
I'm telling you. So, it gets worse than that. So,
It gets worse?
Oh, yeah. So that happens. And the next week, I was supposed to have an appointment to go in and go over the CT scan on what the results were and to go in for to talk about what they were going to do about my wrist and the burns and everything. And plus, I couldn't use my hand. And COVID shut all the hospitals and the doctor's offices down. So fast forward from that happening to June.
Okay.
So no pain medication, no nothing. The symptoms just progressively compounding. It's moved into my right leg. I've lost all feeling in my right leg and in my foot. I can hardly walk in the morning. So like Thursday, I was 4.5 hours late to work because I literally just could not get out of bed. And now I've got pain and numbness in both of my arms. Like,
now, so what are you using? What are you using? Are you using anything? Are you using like Kratom? Are you using any kind of CBD or anything?
No.
Why not?
Because I drive for DOT. So I drive a bulk tank truck, and CBD, it can show up.
Okay, that's true. All right. Have you not tried Kratom?
No, I haven't tried any of that, dude. That stuff's expensive. It's like $100.
No, it's not. I buy a bottle every month.
Oh, do you? Well, see, the stuff that I looked at down the street, it was like $95 for like a bag of. I don't even know. It was like 4 ounces or whatever of the powder.
I get mine in capsules. So
okay.
You just go to the vape shop. Go to your vape shop, and ask them for the best pain relieving Kratom that they have, and then I take 6 of them, and it's nature's opioid medicine without the side effects of being loopy.
Yeah, and so I got this numbness. It's moved into my face. I can't feel like from here over. It's all numb. So I finally went in for my follow-up CT 2 weeks ago on Monday. I went all the way until last Wednesday before finally getting the results. So I'm freaking out. That's why I wasn't online a whole lot. I was just like, I was an emotional train wreck.
Oh, wow.
Because I'm like, why haven't I got the results? CTs only take, I've only had 13 of them this year. They've always been the next day. Well, this one, it's the following Wednesday.
Yeah,
so
because they want to meet you in person to tell you bad news.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. I'm like, great, I got cancer or it's spread to somewhere else, and that's why the symptoms have gotten so bad. And all this time that the doctors were closed. So anyway, I go in, and he's like, "Oh yeah, the mass is gone. All that's left there is scar tissue, but there's several small ones now. So we're going to monitor that until March. But there's activity in your spine and your pelvis." And your hips that shows the possibility that you could have a type of bone cancer. So we're going to send you for a bone scan and just rule it out. It doesn't mean that you have it, but it could be a possibility. It could be what's causing these new symptoms. So this Monday, I went in for the bone scan, and the bone scan came back negative. Thank God. That's a huge weight lifted off my shoulders. Yeah, could you imagine from January this year till Monday this week having that hanging over your head?
That's very bad. But also, like you're still having the problems, but you don't know what's causing the problem. Like, at least if they had said it was bone cancer, you would have known what the problem is. Now you're still fucked up and you're not sure what the problem is.
Yeah, so here's the down low. So now I called a neurologist. They couldn't get me until January 7th because they've laid off so many doctors and they got to sanitize between visits, so they can only see half the. So they had me scheduled for January 7th. So Tuesday of last week, because last week was Labor Day. So Tuesday of last week, I had a complete and utter meltdown on the phone because I called St. Louis. I'm like, can you get me any sooner than January 7th? Washington said they can get me in January 7th. I can't wait that long. It's already been 8 months. I'm dying. I can't handle this anymore.
You literally could be dying.
Yeah. And so they're like, well, hold on. So they put me on hold, and they got back on the phone, and they're like, all right, we can see you tomorrow. And I'm like, perfect. I'm already off tomorrow. I'm going to see the specialist to get the results from my CT scan. So, at what time? And they're like noon. I'm like, good. My specialist is at 9. I can leave Washington at 10 o'clock, be up there in enough time. Perfect. So I went up to the neurologist, and the neurologist I have a CT scan on Monday. He's fairly certain I have several pinched nerves in my spine. They're going to check for, if make sure there's no masses or.
Have you gone to a chiropractor?
They're all closed.
Oh shit! You don't have a buddy? You don't have a friend that says, "Come over and fucking yeah."
I wish I knew somebody that knew how to do massages, because I would kill for one right now. So I'm praying for results Monday. So Monday I got this MRI. If they find that I have the pinched nerves, problem solved. The mass is gone. There's a couple of small ones. Whoop-de-doo. It doesn't show that it's cancer. I don't know. So long story short, in the butt of all of this, February rolls around. I found out I could possibly, more than likely, have cancer. And I sat down and I thought, what's been my biggest regret? And what made me think of this is, you talking about, what do you leave behind? Did the people know that you ever existed? Did people know what you were passionate about? I had this project that I've been working on, now it's been 10 years that I love, that I want to get out there and I want to show people. I want to show people the passion and the power and the emotion behind it. And so I said, F it. I started Russ Explode Studios. I created the company. I made a Facebook page. I told everybody about my project. Because throughout all the years, everybody's like, oh, you're always out here promoting everybody's stuff. What do you do? And I'm like, oh, I've been writing this book, but, all this stuff has gotten in the way. Eventually, I'm going to put it out, so I put it out there that I'm doing this book, and everybody's like, all right, when's the book coming out? When's the book coming out? So now I've got all these people that are excited, because they've known me for several years. I've been out here promoting. They know, I'm creative. I get on there. I give people crap all the time and make up funny stuff. And so I'm like, I'm doing this. So I wrote the book. The book's finished. It's around 200 pages. It's book 1, is Nanite Titan.
Now, have you paid an editor to edit it yet?
It is. It's done at the editor now. So I have to finish paying for it. That's been one of the holdups right now with all the medical stuff.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So I've pretty much cut off completely my collecting. I had to, because I want to concentrate on this book. So I bought all the art. Almost. I'm waiting on 2 pieces to finish up. Once I have those 2 pieces, all the art's done. The book's at the editor. Once I finish paying for that, I'll have the final copy back.
All the 100 pages of comic book is done?
It's not a comic book. It's a novel.
Okay.
So, So there's 10 pieces of art. There's it's chapter art. So basically, okay, I can show some of it off too while I'm talking.
I get it. All right. So chapter 2, cool picture, kind of sets up like the.
Well, here's Ed Williams' piece.
Right on.
And then you got Ivan at Revis Fournier. Maybe. Is it going to pop up there? No. There we go. No, that's not it. That's Jason So. My computer's gone on the fritz. Then you got Finney the Great. Stef Wilson. Why is it showing that one again? That was not what I clicked on. There we go. Stef Wilson.
Oh, wow. There's no boobies on that one.
I know. Stef Wilson drew a dude. So, this is a one-of-a-kind piece. This is the first ever non-woman Stef commission. Then you got David Fott. Wendy Steen Shaner. CB Zane. If it'll pop up. Come on, computer. Come on. There we go. CB Zane. And then you've got that's Wendy.
Was that like a digital?
Yeah, so that's the sticker that's going to be for the Kickstarter. It's going to be one of the first stretch goals. That's a sticker that Wendy Steen Shaner did. There we go. Now it's cooperating. This is Chris McJunkin's piece.
Uh-huh.
And then here is Ivan at Revis Fournier's painterly piece. And so each piece has some Easter eggs hidden in it. So here's
the cover of the book. Or is that the surprise?
We'll see. So I don't know yet. I'm thinking about, doing it between, I don't know. I may be doing the art for the cover. I don't know. I'm working on it, but now that my arm's
I've
gone,
got a friend of mine that does really awesome, like novel type, that painterly look for, like you expect a fantasy novel, like some Dungeons and Dragons type, some old school movie posters like Labyrinth. That's the kind of stuff that he does, and he's really, really cheap, but the work is good, and I think it would fit a novel. Like the art that you showed me there was great, but it doesn't feel like a novel. If that makes any sense, it feels like comic book.
well, see, and that's the point of the novel. So to kind of give you a rundown, so the story is eventually going to be a comic book. So the whole rundown of what Xeno Nanite Titan is about is, Raziel Stevens. He gets the nanite suit, and basically the novel is kind of the intro of, people want to know why. We talked about that earlier. That's the whole reason why I'm doing it as a novel. This is the whole origin story of Raziel Stevens. It's going to be a 3-part trilogy.
When you do your comic book, you'll jump right into the fun action-y stuff and be like, if you want to know more, go buy the novel.
Go back and read the
fun
novel.
action stuff.
Exactly. So, and that's the thing. People are going to want to know why. And so this is going to be why the suit was created, how he got the suit, why he is the way he is. The story contains a ton of emotion. The emotion of me spending 11 hours while my son's in open heart surgery, that went into the story. You're going to feel it. I'm guaranteeing you this story has more twists and turns than 2020 has had in my life, because I want this story to blow your mind. Russ Explode Studios, blowing minds. I'm telling you, it's going to be freaking awesome. You're never going to know what's going to happen, and I'm going to guarantee you nobody will figure out by the end what will happen at the end. And there's going to be several times where you're going to be like, I know what's going to happen. You're going to hit a part of the book, and you're going to go, what the hell just happened? and that's what I wanted. I hate reading a book. I hate reading comics. I hate watching movies when you're 10 minutes in, you're 10 pages in, you're like, oh, I already know what's going to happen. Then you read it and you're like, yeah, it was decent. But what I love are the movies that you watch it and then you go, what the heck? Perfect example, Unbreakable. Unbreakable came out and then split, and then by the time it got to Glass made me go, what the at the end? Dude, totally blew me away. I'd never seen it coming. And I'm like, that's what I like. I love the stories that make you go, wow.
Now,
and
for your Kickstarter that you're going to do for this eventually, have you put any thought into having a downloadable audiobook from a voiceover artist or anything that reads the book so that they can download for $5 and get the digital download? Have you thought about that at all?
I've thought about that eventually. Hey, Phil.
But not for the Kickstarter.
Not for the Kickstarter. So basically right now, here's the rundown. For my Kickstarter, what I'm planning on doing is I'm planning on doing a hardcover book. So this is basically going to be funding my first print run of the book. You're going to get a hardcover book with the art, 6x9, full color pages. And then I'm also going to offer a hardcover art book. So you're going to get a 8.5 by 11, possibly bigger, depending on, I'm looking at different printing sources now. I'm trying to get everything lined up. The Kickstarter is pretty much almost done, set up. The only thing I have left to do is go in and do the stretch goals, and I'm trying to work on that stuff now. But
check out Comic Impressions. Comic Impression does all the Scout books. They're out of Florida, and everything I do for my prints, my trading cards, all my comics and stuff, I run through Comic Impressions, dude. Those guys are on top of their shit.
So, yeah, and I mean, everything's set up. I'll try to see if I can pull up the preview and show it off. I'm really excited about this. It sucks the circumstances that it happened, and that was a big key. It's like, I was really scared for my kids. I was really scared for my family. I'm like, I'm going to leave them behind. With my son having the heart problems, I'm the only one that's ever worked since he's been born. We came to the decision with his heart issues and people not knowing what to look for if something's going wrong with him, because it's an always evolving situation.
Yeah.
He was only born with a single coronary artery. They had to cut his pulmonary arteries away from the trunk, is what they call it. It's truncus arteriosus. So basically, they cut his pulmonary arteries away from the trunk, and they put a cadaver artery in to form as his pulmonary coronary artery and attach those pulmonary arteries to it. And he also has a 5 millimeter gap in his aorta. So they had to put a bridge in there, which is what he has the cardiac cast for, is to go in and widen the stent and the bridge that they put in. So, it's an ever evolving situation. We could go in, it could be leaking. We could go in and it scars, which means it shrinks. He could outgrow it. The valve could wear out and it could start back pressuring into his heart. So, I'm like, we both can't afford to take off work all the time and take him. We need one person that can stay at home. And so, we've made it work for the last 5 years. Well, then I got sick. I missed all of January and February. Then I went back to work, and then I got in the car wreck. I missed all of March. And so I'm like, and then I got all this stuff looming over my head. I'm like, what am I going to leave behind for my family besides all these hospital bills and a house payment and stuff? And, with COVID, what's the likelihood of my wife being able to go get a job? Everything's shutting down around here because they aren't making any money. Everybody's broke. And so I'm like, all I'm leaving behind is, nothing but more grief. And so I wanted to leave behind something that my kids could be proud of, that if something happened to me, that in 15, 20 years, they would have something that was special. So with some of the characters in the books, Raziel's kids, I included life experiences that I've, conversations, the way my kids talk, the Coke and Mentos, that experiment that we did when my daughter took it straight to the face. And it's just, I poured a lot of emotion. There's a lot, and that's where Russ Explode Studios Books with Hearts come from. Not only do I write the book from my heart, it's got emotion, it's got story, it's got substance to it, but it's also a throwback to my son. His heart surgeries and stuff. I wanted it to be personal. And, so the book is really personable to me. There's a lot of stuff tied into our family, and yeah, sorry, I was reading Danny's comment. So,
Yeah.
I'm super excited about the project. I love the way the story turned out. It ends on a cliffhanger, pretty substantial cliffhanger. And so I started on book 2. I haven't really been writing it because of the pain in my arms. I can't even hold a pencil and draw. So I quit, trying to work on the cover for right now. Hopefully Monday we'll solve that. But I'm super, super excited. I cannot wait for people to read this book. I really hope that people can read it and see that there was a lot of love, there was a lot of effort, and there was a lot of time spent thinking over this. This is not just something that I thought of overnight and I'm like, I got cancer, I'm going to write a book and try to make a bunch of money for my family. This is a 10-year project. I have it written in here from book 1 to book 3. Here's where book 1 ends, and here's where book 2 begins, and here's where book 2 ends, and here's where 3 begins, and 3 ends. I have all that written out. It's all planned, it's all ready to go, and I'm excited. It was something I was kind of, got me down for a little while there. Is like, what if something happens and I'm not able to finish the series out? So, I went ahead, even though I said I was going to take a break with book 1, and before I started writing book 2, I started writing book 2, just so at least, I could try to run through with not knowing what was going on. And I don't mean to sound like, down with everything, but, I was in a bad place off and on for a while.
Sometimes you have to call a spade, man. When shit's fucked up, dude, it can wear on you. And then not to make a joke, but someone in your position could feel like, who the fuck did I fuck over to be dealt this shitty hand of cards? And then that can lead to depression.
Well, man, there was a lot of times that there's a lot of times over the last few months I've disappeared online, and people have reached out and they're like, hey, you haven't been online in a few days. And it's a lot of life. You don't see me online for, a day or two. It's just, I got stuff going on with, either I went to bed after I got home from work because I can't even hardly move, or, I just down on everything that's going on. I mean, so Monday, for instance, I was super happy. I was like, yes, no cancer, thank God. Then we get a letter in the mail. Oh, by the way, your son's cardiologist moved. He no longer has a heart doctor. So I'm like, yeah, thanks for the win, 2020. You're going ahead and rain on my parade. And to make matters worse, the pediatrician left in June. He retired because he's older, and they had a small office, and so there was the worry of the risk of COVID and him getting it. So he's like, I'm just gonna close up. I was gonna retire next year anyway. I'm just gonna retire early. So I'm like, who wants to go freaking doctor shopping with a heart kid during a pandemic? And I'm not trying to, stir up talking about COVID and all that stuff, but it's a serious issue. With our kid. It's something I worry about every day going to work. I'm like, am I going to bring it home and kill my son? I mean, am I going to get it? And with whatever's going on with me, is it going to do me in? And so, this year has just sucked so much. And I've taken a lot of that. There was a couple chapters that really needed it in my book. And I used the events that have gone on in my life to really funnel a lot of that depression, a lot of that frustration, that hurt, a lot of that emotion into the book. And I'm not saying the book's going to bring you down. It's going to make you sad. I'm just saying it really helped some parts of the book. And there was days where I came home and I'm like, I can't write this scene of the book. I'm not in the right mood for it. I'm down, and this needs to be more of an uppity scene in the book. And that's something that people don't understand. They're like, oh, why aren't you writing? You're supposed to be writing this book, and you've been on live feeds all day. And it's like, dude, I'm not in the right mindset to write this right now. Just trust me on that.
Well, if you ever get to the point where you just want to fucking talk or bullshit or something, you can always call me. I'm usually home working on something, but I can turn the phone on.
Oh, I appreciate it, man. And, I'm not one that really likes to get down. I always get on there and I BS with everybody, but, behind the scenes, I know everything looks good on the surface, and a lot of people don't know about it. I'm the same way,
man. I've just now started taking some treatment for my depression, like in the last 2 weeks. Like just you're like, oh, it's not bothering me, but I've gotten to the point now where I'm like, well, fuck it. If I could be better, if I could feel better, then maybe I should go ahead and try to feel better. So I know that I would always take everything that I was dealing with, and I still do, take everything and like bottle it up, because it's not everybody else's problem. But sometimes it might feel good to just fucking say it out loud.
Well, and I don't mean to like end the show on, trying to bring everything down, but it's, something that's been weighing on me for a long time. Everybody asks, what's been going on. I kind of let out a little bit of what's going on here, but that's pretty much what's been going on this year. It's just, you see me in the live feeds, I'm joking around and stuff. And that really makes my day. It makes, people are like, oh, if you want to cancel the live show tonight. And it's like, no, I don't want to cancel the live show. This is my release. This is my release. Exactly. And it's like, I know some people, they're like, you're crazy. You're going to sit in a chair for 3 hours and talk to somebody when you're in so much pain. And it's like, but you don't understand, hearing these inspirational stories.
I'm not thinking about all the shit that's going on right now.
Exactly. And that's what it's all about. And I want to put something good out there. There's so much bad, and everybody's going through so much bad in the world right now. People are losing their homes. People are losing their jobs. People are losing their family members. And this is a great way. You know what? I never meant to do live interviews. If you want to be honest, this was never something that I fully had planned on. I said, hey, to the artist that did the art for my book, would you like to go live? I really want to help promote you as an artist so people can get to know the person behind the art of my book. Well, then I got a few messages. Hey, when can I be on your show? And I'm like, well, it's not really a show, but if you want to be on, cool. And then now I'm booked until mid next month for Sundays and Tuesdays. Right. So, and I'm not complaining at all. I don't want to sound like, oh, well, now I got to do these shows. I like doing it. This is what I originally set up Art Exposure for 3 years ago, going on 3 years ago. This is what I wanted to do. I wanted to get out here, meet you guys, talk about artists, talk about art, talk about the people behind the art. There's nothing worse than buying books because you love the covers, but you have no idea who the person is behind it. And it's great to be able to have the opportunity to give that. What's the word I'm looking for? Give that Yeah, well, not to give that exposure, but to give that opportunity. There we go.
Yeah.
For people to get to know their favorite artists. Like Sean and Rodney said, they've been friends with you for years on Facebook, but they never really worked with you and didn't know a whole lot about you.
Yeah, not until a couple of weeks ago when we did that live draw.
Yeah. And so, I mean, that's what's awesome about all this. We get to get out there and we get to, give people the opportunity to know the faces, know the people behind the work that they stand behind. And I love the fact that the people that are a part of my page and the people that are in my, friend group, that we have a personal relationship. We talk on a daily basis. We message, we joke around, we give each other crap online all day long, like stuff. It's all day, you'll see us bantering, and people on the outside, if they see it, they're like, wow, those two people really hate each other. And it's like, no, we love each other. This is what we do. We give each other trouble, and it's what makes the day better. So, this is what indie is all about. It's being a part of a group where we can get together and we can collaborate. Rodney and Sean did a piece for your book, and, excuse me, and they took a time out of their night tonight, and they got all the stuff that they're working on, cryptids, and they're fulfilling Kickstarters, and like Rodney is and stuff. These people take the time out of their day to get on here and say, hey, check out Bryan's book, Kerra Prime, on Kickstarter now. Go back it, and that's what it's all about. It's helping each other out. We're not in this for ourselves. We're in this for each other. Anything we can do to help each other. Anybody that wants to do a show, you got a project that you want me to help promote, don't hesitate to send me a message and say, hey, it's like I seen that you prematurely launched. And I was like, I want to get with Bryan, and I want to, try to do a show to help promote him, because you were trying to promote the Kickstarter. Hey, I got this project coming out. And instead you went live and nobody knows about this project. And so I'm like, well, Tom had asked me, Tom said, hey, if you want to do more panels for Comic Unity, to help keep stuff going on here, like a con, feel free to. So I was like, I know the perfect person to set up an extra con for. So I messaged you and you're like, I'm good anytime. So I went down all the artists and I'm like, all right, hey, Armando, hey, Steph,
Yeah,
hey,
that's
Sean,
crazy.
hey, Rodney, hey, Adam. Let's get on here and help a guy out, Let's help Bryan out. Let's get his project out there, because he didn't get a chance to promote that he was doing a Kickstarter next month. It's now ending next month.
Premature launch happens to the best of us, Kevin says. Yeah, I don't think it'll happen again. I mean, maybe next time I'll know better than to hit that button that says prepare to launch.
Yeah, you know what, man? Accidents happen, and it's like I always say, things happen for a reason. This 2020, people may go, it sucks. Dude, your life sucks right now. Who did you piss off? Whatnot. I don't look at it like that. I look at it as a positive. This is what finally kicked me in the ass and said, get that badass project out there. You show Xenonanite Titan off in all of his glory. You get out there and you publish that book, and you get that book in people's hands, and you get the story told. It needs to be told. And so now it's happening.
That's amazing, dude. That's amazing.
Next month.
I have to pee. I'm out of water. This is like my third water. I have to pee, man.
All right, you're good. Hey, we can call it a night, man.
I appreciate it, man. But thank you for having me on. Where are you? Are you in, what state are you in?
Missouri. I live about 50 miles west of St. Louis.
Okay. Danny D, I think Kickstarter now lets you go up to 60 days, I think.
They do. So you can either choose an end date, like you can make it any day you want.
Well, I did have an end date, but
or you can either set it by end date, or you can set it for, however many days you want it to run. Days. And I think I have mine set up for 45 days, but you can do it out to 60. 60 was the maximum, I think, when it let me do the preview on it.
Yeah, well, a couple of years ago, it was 30 days, and that was it.
Yep.
But, well, thank you, man. I look forward to seeing more of your stuff, and thank you for helping anything with Kerra Prime, and thank anybody in the comments that views this now or later. And dude, thank you for all the help, and let me know how I can help when it comes time for your project to go.
I appreciate it, man. Have a good night.
All right, you too, man. Adios.
Adios.
Stay creative.
You too. Thanks a lot, everybody, for being here tonight. Wow, we went for 3 hours. I was only planning on an hour to an hour and a half show, but hey, you know what? It happens. You know, indie community is coming together more than ever, and it's great to see. Everybody's working together. Everybody's, being a part of helping each other out, and that's what this is all about. Get out there and check out Bryan's project. He may have launched prematurely. Accidents happen, but we can show him how the indie community reacts to such things. So definitely check out his project. If you can, check out Rodney Fyke and Sean Forney's pages. They also do the Thursday night, Friday night showdown. They have a group page for that. Check that out. There's also Jonathan Hedrick, which is co-creating with Bryan for the Kerra Prime Arctica and some of the stories and some of the stuff to come down the line. Check out his Kickstarter live now on Freak Show Night with a K. And then also, if you haven't yet, check out Comic Unity Online Con 2020. It's live now on Kickstarter. We're getting ready to go into, I think we have gone into the second week on it. And if you're not a part of the group, definitely join the group. There's going to be more panels like this, crowdfunding, pointers and stuff like that. Thanks for being here tonight. I had a great time. Thanks, Danny. It was a great time tonight. It was good to talk about things. So I appreciate y'all. Love y'all. And I hope to see you tomorrow night for a show with Wendy Steen Shaner and Christina Haggerty. So as always, Rust Explode Studios, projects that'll blow your mind. Have a great night.